We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you and welcome to a very important edition of GB News Breakfast.
Roman Catholics around the world mourn the death of Pope Francis.
I'm here in Rome, where preparations are already underway for the Pope's funeral. Leaders from around the world pay tribute to the Holy Father, with many describing him as a tireless advocate for peace. Seal and lock off the Pope's official residence as mourners await the date of his funeral. And now attention turns to the secret process of choosing his successor as the College of Cardinals prepare to gather for the much anticipated conclave.
The government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals and other news. They're awaiting deportation and what's being described as a landmark move.
And the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, heads to Washington, where she's going to meet her US counterpart amid hopes of that trade deal.
Free school breakfast clubs are set to open across the country, 750 of them. As fears grow, government funding will fall short of the cost. We'll be debating that.
And it's a day of sunshine and April showers for most of us today. Find out all the weather details with me coming up a little later.
So on this Tuesday morning, a very good morning to you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, live in Rome for a very special edition of GB News Breakfast.
Well, here we are. This is a very important day for Catholics around the world. And the scenes that you're seeing there are St. Peter's Basilica in the heart of Rome there, where Ellie is this morning. Good morning, Ellie.
Morning, Ellie. And what's it like there at the moment?
Good morning to you, Eamon and Anne. It is the most remarkable atmosphere. The sun is rising over the buildings here at St. Peter's Basilica in St. Peter's Square in Rome, and there is still this palpable sense of shock and grief. We got here late last night, and as I was going to bed in the hotel, I could hear singers, choirs that were singing and grieving for Pope Francis, a palpable sense of grief from the people that are living here. And also this morning, the chaos of people arriving, descending on Rome, wanting to pay their respects to the late Holy Father. There are camera crews and press from all around the globe. Even on our plane yesterday, the plane was delayed by almost 2 hours taking off because of the sheer number of journalists, camera crews, equipment that needed to be put on that plane in order for everybody to get here in time. And that just gives us a sense, doesn't it, of the momentous occasion that this is, the moment in history that this is, and it has taken people by surprise. And I know that sounds surprising in itself, because we knew that the Pope was suffering with ill health, but he had come out of hospital, that 5-week stay in hospital, and it was here in St. Peter's Square at that very basilica on Sunday where he spoke to the crowds for the first time in 5 weeks with that surprise appearance. And it was a very short message, a very simple message, simply saying, "Happy Easter, my brothers and sisters." And then one of the cardinals was able to continue with the Easter sermon that the Pope would usually have given. But he continued, didn't he, with his work on Sunday. He was out in the Pope-mobile, he was blessing the crowds, he was giving people thumbs up, he was even being handed babies and blessing those babies as they were passed to him in the Pope-mobile. So he was working until the very last day of his life. And on Sunday, it was very much the sense that perhaps the Pope had turned a corner, that perhaps he was getting better. And I think that's what's led to this very palpable shock that in fact it was the very next day, on Easter Monday, where Pope Francis passed away at the age of 88.
Ellie, thank you very much indeed. And we were just saying, as we were watching separately, obviously, the message on Sunday morning, I thought he didn't look bad. I thought he sounded bad when he opened his mouth to speak. But you...
Yeah, I was deeply worried for him. I thought he did look very, very ill, and I was partially thinking, why is he doing this? Being driven around, and as Ellie was saying there, they were taking babies to him to be blessed, and I was thinking, this isn't right. He doesn't look well enough. He really doesn't. But we understand that it was him that wanted to do this. His doctors said, "You're not up to it," and he said, "No, I want to do it." And you can't help but think he's the sort of person who would have thought, "I'm going to make it till Easter, because Easter is that important. And then I'll let go." And you could have predicted it. You really could have. And it happened, didn't it? It
happened. Well and truly, it happened. Right. Obviously, we'll be concentrating with Ellie in St. Peter's Square, in the Basilica there in Rome.
Tell you what, she'll never forget it.
Of course she won't know.
Because I've met so many seasoned journalists and reporters and TV anchor people who have covered this very thing happening, and they never forget it. It's even if they're not Catholic themselves, they never forget it.
Well, I always remember the impression going to an event in Ireland, in Galway, to see Pope John Paul II, and I was 18 at the time, and you'd gone to see.
I'd gone to see him come. He came to do an enormous thing at Coventry Airport. And I was part of the media pack, and we got a certificate afterwards, which I treasure. And but I tell you what, when you're with a camera crew, again, seasoned, hardened camera crews, they got down on their knees when he came to us.
But he was special. He was magical. I mean, that man is now a saint.
Yeah.
And there was something very, very special, which, in fairness, I don't think any other pope has replicated.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. Not even this one, which is sad to say, but and there are some wonderful pictures of him doing what he always did best, which was greeting people and smiling and everything. But I did not think he looked well.
OK. We'll be reflecting on the life and times of Pope Francis throughout the programme this morning.
But things are happening still. Isn't it amazing how life goes on? You're mourning the death of somebody hugely important, and people will be feeling and mourning right over the world. But life goes on, quite cruelly sometimes. And in this world, politics goes on. So, to politics here in the UK, and the government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals awaiting deportation by the end of the year.
Number 10 sources have claimed the Home Secretary has ordered an overhaul of the system due to the poor quality of data. In studio now, Deputy Editor Spiked Online, Fraser Myers, with his take on this. Fraser.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is an interesting move. At the moment, what she's going to publish is essentially a breakdown of the nationalities nationalities of criminals who are awaiting deportation. Now, that's people who've qualified for it but haven't quite been deported yet. There's about 19,000 of those at the minute, which is actually a big rise on last year. And that's despite the fact that actually Labour is deporting at a faster rate than the Conservative government. But there is a huge backlog of foreign criminals. A lot of that hold-up is to do with quite a lot of appeals being made. Incredibly, people have success in their appeals, sometimes on the most dubious grounds. People are allowed to stay in the UK. That's one of the big factors there. What we're expecting, because people have done sort of freedom of information requests, you know, essentially talking to police forces or prisons, but we've never had a full picture of this. But I think what we'll likely see is that Albanians will come top, then Romanians, then Poles, which is as much a reflection of the foreign population as it is anything else, really.
Do we know how many of those people, they're foreign criminals awaiting deportation, how many were here legally or illegally?
I'm not sure whether this data will cover that, actually, and it's not something...
that would be quite important.
You would think so. I think to be honest, even publishing this data has been actually, you know, the Home Office have dragged their feet on this. The Conservatives are saying, you know, it's a win for them because it's something that they've been pushing for the past couple of months. So I think the government has been reluctant to give us the information about foreign-born criminals. I think that they implicitly think that it might cause people to be angry about the state of migration. People to
we have to be sheltered from the truth in case it makes people angry.
I think that's the attitude of the Starmer government, certainly.
That seems incredible, doesn't it? And in fact, it's dishonest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I know loads of people watching at the moment, that's what they'll want to know. Absolutely,
and people will want to know why it is the case that essentially everyone who is in prison for more than a year should qualify for automatic deportation. But people want to know why the actual numbers leaving are so low, why so many people are able to appeal on human rights grounds. And those are questions that I think the government finds a bit more comfortable, because Keir Starmer has committed himself to the ECHR, not just committed himself to that, but they've said they will not challenge any rulings on that front. So I think it's a question the government wants to... Well, how do we progress? I think we need to have reform of some of those things. We need to reform or leave the ECHR. We need to reform some of the refugee treaties.
A Labour government's not going to do that. We all know that.
I think that's the central problem here. So I think, you know, Yvette Cooper will use this as a sort of tool to say, look, we're doing something, look, we're publishing some data, but actually people want to see action, not just the publication of a few numbers.
Do we know, sorry, I sort of can guess the answer. Do we know what crimes they have committed?
Well, hopefully the data will show it, but I'm not entirely sure that it will. It's not clear what exactly we're going to see when these sort of league tables come out.
So although it sounds good, it's really not going to convince anyone, is it?
Really, I think it's just to get a headline in the papers, to make it feel like there's progress when there really isn't.
What we're not getting headlines in the papers is Keir Starmer's views on the Supreme Court ruling last week on this what is a woman, what is a man type thing. Why does he really think that by saying nothing, people are going to be more interested in what the Pope passed in the Pope's funeral, and this will all go away and people will forget about this?
Well, yeah, and I think people would like to know what Keir Starmer has to say, because he has a different position on this depending on the day of the week. You know, he has previously chastised the MP, Rosie Duffield, for saying that only women have cervixes. Starmer said it was wrong to say that. He previously suggested that 99.9% of women don't have a penis, but perhaps 1 in 1,000 women do. But then the government has put out this extraordinary statement saying we have always supported single-sex spaces. Now, that's clearly not the case. There are many members of the cabinet. I mean, there's been leaks in the Mail on Sunday suggesting that some in Labour, some quite high up, would like to fight this ruling. Even in the Labour manifesto, it suggested that there would be changes, you know, a sort of loosening of or increase in sort of trans rights, as they call it, potentially protect threatening women's spaces. So this is a really important issue for therefore, if the government doesn't want people to speculate, or if the government doesn't want people to think that they're on the wrong side of this, I think they need to get out on the front foot.
But he doesn't have to be on any side. He just has to be on the court side. I mean, he is a lawyer. He's on the side of the law. The court has made a ruling. Surely it is easy to lift and say, the situation in this now is the court has decided...
It is now law.
Yes, and that's not his fault.
And as a lawyer, he's perfectly capable of saying that, isn't he?
You would think so, and that would normally be his response in 99% of all cases. But this issue is incredibly tricky for the Labour Party. They have, previously quite vocally supported the other side, and so they are going to have to. It's quite difficult for them to climb down, I think.
One headline they will be seeking, I suppose, tomorrow. Is the idea that they're announcing more or less today is that they're starting breakfast clubs for school children. And it's going to cost the country a fortune by the look of it.
Can I be a bit controversial on this? I never had to send my kids, never had to get someone else to pay for their breakfast in the morning or whatever. And I can sound quite prudish about this, whatever, but I think it is a basic parental responsibility to send your kids out with some toast and an egg in their stomach or whatever. Why should the whole country be paying for this?
I think increasingly schools are seen less as a place of education and broadly as an arm of the welfare state. Yeah. So you're seeing schools taking up more and more parental duties, not just in terms of feeding kids in this instance, but also giving them kind of moral instruction. In terms of whether it's sex education or we had the debate over adolescence recently that all children must be forced to watch this film or watch this TV show so they can learn not to be raging misogynists. Lots of kind of...
They also can't brush their teeth. They can't wipe their backsides. There's so many things. They're not toilet trained.
Yeah.
So schools and teachers, who I feel very sorry for in this situation, are really acting as social workers or even nannies now.
Yeah, and I think
their job should be to teach.
And exactly, and actually, parents can and should be able to do those jobs, whereas teachers need to have the time to teach. They're much better suited to teaching children the basics or primary education. Yeah. That should be their job, not as sort of glorified social workers.
I think they should be spending the money if they want to do this and make sure children are well fed. They should make lunch free for everybody, I think.
And improve the quality of it.
Improve the quality of the lunch, make lunch free.
Why make any of it free?
Yeah?
Why make any of it free?
Because it's part of school, isn't it? Well, you're already at school. To feed them? You're at school, you've done your morning's lessons, you're going to do another afternoon of lessons. Okay. I think maybe it is the school's duty to feed you.
Interesting.
Lunch. But not breakfast and not tea. I mean, how much is...
do you know what it's about? It's about making everybody's life easier. Everybody. It's like this sex bill, the Supreme Court thing. Man, woman. Well, I can be anything I want. If I want to be a goldfish today, I can be a goldfish. So everybody, I want my lunch, I want my dinner, I want everything. Right. Where does it stop? Let us know what your thoughts are on this. Have your say. Fraser, thank you very much indeed for the moment. Fraser will be back and we will be putting your say to him.
And we'll be joining Ellie a lot this morning. She is in St Peter's Square, really just sort of, I don't know, just looking and seeing what's going on, feeling the atmosphere. But we'll be going back to her very soon. Right now, at 16 minutes past 6, let's get the weather with Craig Snell.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions are very far north of Scotland where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of the showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we ended the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, Lent is over, but we're still going to bring you daily reflections. Today it is
Brenda, who's vicar of St Francis Parish Church in Teesside.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Brenda from St Francis Parish Church. In John's Gospel, we hear after Jesus' crucifixion, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. She stood weeping outside and bent to look into the tomb. Mary saw 2 angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had been. They said, "Why are you weeping?" And she said, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Mary turned and saw Jesus standing there. Jesus said to her, "Mary," and she replied in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus sent her to announce to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and she told them the things he had said to her. The word apostle means one who is sent. A woman, Mary Magdalene, became the first apostle, the first to meet Jesus by the tomb after his resurrection, then sent to share the good news with the disciples. This earned her the name, the Apostle to the Apostles. What does this mean for people today? Jesus allowed women to sit at his feet as disciples, and we hear Mary Magdalene was chosen by Jesus as the first apostle. This means for all women, Jesus counted us equally with men. For ordained women who wear the collar, we can be confident of our place at the front of church, a place denied by some, but a place affirmed by Jesus himself, to share with men, humbly, yet equally in God's mission on earth. Amen.
And that was this morning's reflection from Vicar Brenda there. Well, still to come, we're going to hear about the government's trial of breakfast clubs. We want your views on that.
And we're going to be getting the very latest from Vatican City, where Ellie is in St Peter's Square.
Yes, the first meeting of the Cardinals will be taking place this morning, where many things will be discussed, including the date of Pope Francis's funeral.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's tonight, and here We do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Morning again. We will be back with Ellie very shortly. She's in St. Peter's Square in Rome at the moment, bringing you the atmosphere of, of probably what Roman Catholics the world over feel. But, of course, there'll be an awful lot of them heading for Rome now, won't there?
Yeah.
9 days, we think, of mourning, and only then will there be the funeral, and after the funeral will there be the conclave. And that can take up to 3 or 4 weeks sometimes.
I haven't watched that film. But
oh, it's brilliant. I think it's really good. Don't agree with the people who say it's just fictional, it's a load of rubbish. It's not. It's really good.
Oh,
really,
I'm definitely
really
going to
good.
watch it now.
Have you watched The Two Popes?
Yes, I have, yes.
Which, again, was brilliant,
yes.
I thought. Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Must be fun round your house on a Friday night.
That's not the only thing I watch, believe me. Believe me.
In other news, and there is other news today, free breakfast clubs in England we're talking about here. 750 schools are opening, so thousands of parents can access half an hour of free childcare in the morning.
Sir Keir Starmer says the breakfast clubs will provide parents with breathing space. But critics fear that the government funding will fall far short of the cost already.
Well, let's talk to Eve McQuillan on this one. Eve, very good morning. You commentate on this. This is your subject. What do you think? Why is this happening? Because we're sitting now, I'm at a stage now where all my kids are growing up, whatever. I don't have to face this thing anymore. But I'm suddenly stopping and going, what? What am I paying this for? Why are we paying this? Why is this going to 750 schools and not all schools or no schools? So give us a bit of context here.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Eamonn. So this is a pilot run by the Department for Education to look at how this programme can work. It was a manifesto commitment from the Labour Party at the last election, and they're very keen to roll this out nationally, but they're doing this pilot for a short period until July to see how they can do this effectively to ensure that it meets the most children. So really, that's a kind of sensible way of rolling out what is quite a big programme.
Well, yes, it's important to do the pilots and study it and see who it helps and who it doesn't, and how expensive it could be if it's rolled out
getting the money
nationally.
to pay for this?
Well, exactly. What do they say about that, Eve? I mean, where are they going to get the money to pay for it?
So they've committed to 30 million towards it. To be honest, we're in a situation as a country where 1/4 of primary school teachers are saying that they regularly spend their own money on feeding kids. That cannot be right. We know that we've got a child poverty problem in this country, and I think it's a reasonably good use of taxpayers' money to be spending it on ensuring that children go to school and they are fed and able to learn.
Well, I just look and I think the basic primary parental responsibility is to look after your children, to feed your children. And I sit and scratch my head and say, of all the things that we can do as parents, all the things we can spend money on, are you telling me that you can't give your kid a bit of toast and a cup of tea in the morning?
Yeah, but Eamonn, I think that's when people make that argument, I always think, if you really think that child poverty is driven by parents who are just irresponsible, why don't you want to ensure that those children get a decent amount of food in the morning? If you think that actually there are a lot of parents who are really struggling to make ends meet because it's difficult to make a living in this current climate, well, then you think it's a good idea for schools to be doing what they can to help children in that situation. The other benefit to this, of course, as well, is it really helps working parents. It'll save working parents about £450 a year in childcare costs and give them 95 free hours. So if you're wanting to get more parents into work, well, that's a good thing.
Yes, but a lot of people's reaction is, if you can't afford to feed your children, don't have them. And I know that sounds harsh and maybe very old-fashioned, but a lot of people feel that way. Whatever happened to government taking over from parental responsibility?
Yeah, you know, and I speak from the heart on this one, because I'm from a working-class family. I was one of 5 boys in the house, and, you know, money was tight in my house, but we were never sent out, not washed, not groomed, and not given some cereal in the morning.
Yeah, well, I think we need to, as a society, to make sure that every child is well fed, is well looked after. And if that isn't happening, and teachers are reporting that it's not happening on a massive scale, then we need to make sure that that does happen. That's the basic duty of a responsible society.
It's a basic duty of a parent before it is a basic duty of a responsible society. I put it to you, Eve. No, I'm just really quite shocked at this, and I just sort of think you get to a point where you think of all the things I would have to do in life. You know, if I ran out of money, looking after my kids would still be number one. Finding something to do that, and I understand how sad this is, and I understand the pressures on the family purse and all that sort of thing. But goodness me, where does it stop in this country? What do we provide for? We provide for everything. And why is this 750 schools and not all schools? If you're going to do it everywhere.
Look to see what the demand is, and then to roll out the broader programme from next September. I think as long as we're making sure every child is fed, that's what matters. And we can't say, oh, it's the parents' responsibility and therefore we don't care when that we have this problem. We know we have this problem, so we need to do something about the reality that we've got, not wishing it was different.
I don't wish it were different. I just don't see why it's not a parental responsibility. And if you take it away from them and you give it to other people, it just becomes easier for everybody. And it's just, we talk about, and I'm fed up listening to politicians saying we have no money. Yet we have money every time. There's money to do other things like this, which I would argue are not essential, because it's not the state's responsibility. You will say it is the state's responsibility. I will say it's parental responsibility.
Well, we'll have to leave the argument. No, go on, Eve. You have the last word.
It's the state's responsibility to ensure we have an economy that allows every child to be fed. And if that isn't the case, it's the state's responsibility to intervene and make sure it happens. I don't want there to be hungry children going to school this morning.
And we all know that well-fed children tend to do better in school, don't they? Eve, we've got to leave it there.
Yeah.
I know you've got steam coming out of your ears.
Yeah, I do have. But
yeah, well, me too. I feel angry about it.
Are they hungry? Are they hungry? You know, we're all stupid. We've all been to school. We've all seen there, done it. I went to a working class primary school. You know, you saw, and believe me, in the 60s there was real poverty. Real poverty. people get by and people prioritise things. And I would just say, when is it your responsibility as a parent to wake up and do something about it? That's what should be forcing you out the door to work, to put a roof over your kids' heads, to give them breakfast on the table, whatever it happens to be. But it just is unbelievable.
Do you think there's a slightly more sinister background reasoning to this as well, though? When you have a Labour government, they believe that the estate can look after your children better than you. They believe they know better.
Yeah.
And so during a Labour government, you tend to get the idea of the state can look after your children. You don't have to. In fact, we'd prefer that you went to work.
Well, one of the awful things that we're going through now is this pension tax that Rachel Reeves introduced. The amount of people that I know who work in the catering industry or you know, in bars and pubs and people who are employed in shops, and all the people who are being hit are the people who can least afford it. And not a word about this, not a word that she can tax people out of jobs, but will find money, will steal money from somewhere to feed their kids at school. Is it just me? Let us know your feelings on this one.
Well, we've already had a couple of feelings coming in. Thank you. One of them says, parents, potty train your own children.
Yeah.
Give them a bowl of cereal or a piece of toast
Yeah.
and make them brush their teeth before they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
These breakfast clubs are ridiculous. We are paying for other people's children. Why should we?
Yeah.
And then another one says, we haven't got a child poverty crisis in this country. We have a bad parents crisis in this country.
And then it becomes overworked school teachers, overstretched teachers. This becomes their responsibility, and it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. What sort of parents are you, for goodness sake?
Let us know your thoughts, please do. Yes, love to hear from you. Right, well, it seems a bit weird to be now talking about our biggest giveaway to date, but let's get on with the housekeeping. It's your chance to win that motorhome, which so many people seem to be craving, and £5,000 in tax-free cash. So if you want to know how to possibly win it, here's how.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And good luck and the best of luck to you if you're travelling over Easter. The big rush on Easter Monday is over. I don't know how long it'll go on for this week, but I think normally people would have this week off, whereas...
I don't know, I think some of the schools start back today.
Absolutely, absolutely do. So,
which isn't right. I mean, you should have a few days off after Easter.
I was always used to that, but it appears that is what is going on because Easter is so late this year. So if you're out and about, you're going to hit the roads at some stage today. Here's what's happening.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users on the A9 at Raleigh should be cautious due to a broken down vehicle affecting both directions. Over in Wales, the A494 eastbound is closed from Garden City to Deeside Industrial Park for cyclic maintenance, with diversions in place. In Wakefield, traffic is moving slowly on the A1 southbound between its junction with the M62 and the A639 due to congestion. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Busy, eventful programme today. There you see Ellie in the Vatican City in St. Peter's Square. We're going to be hearing lots more from her. Good morning, Ellie.
I think we'll be back after the break, I think. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, as you know, less than 24 hours after delivering his Easter blessing, the Vatican announced the death of Pope Francis.
Yeah, we now know that he died peacefully following a stroke and heart failure. Attention in Rome now turns to his funeral and the future of the church. Ellie is in Rome.
Yes, good morning, Eamonn and Anne from St. Peter's Square, and behind me, St. Peter's Basilica, and it's still hard to... was on that very balcony behind me, delivering that very short but very powerful message on Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, my brothers and sisters. And then he was out and about in his Pope-mobile, blessing babies, giving the thumbs up to the crowds that were waiting here for him. Those crowds that were absolutely ecstatic to see him on Sunday. Such a surprise appearance from the Pope, who had been told to take bed rest for 2 months. But you couldn't keep Pope Francis down, and he managed to stay in bed for about a week before he was out meeting pilgrims and wanting to be amongst his people. And there's something quite poetic, isn't there, about the fact that he was able to be there on the most important Christian holiday, which is Easter, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and he passed away, we now know, peacefully the very next day on Easter Monday. It is so busy here in St. Peter's Square, a scene of chaos. We can see Italian Red Cross officials who have come in from outside Rome. They are starting to gather here behind me. This is a big operation not only for the Vatican but also for Rome. 2,000 police officers are coming in to help with the number of pilgrims, press that are here to say goodbye and to mark this momentous historical occasion. It's also very busy here at St. Peter's Basilica and inside the Vatican, where last night Pope Francis was sealed. His body was sealed in his apartment, and there is this moment of tradition, of pomp and pageantry, where his ring, his fisherman's ring, the Pope's ring, is removed and destroyed. And traditionally that is done because the ring is used to mark letters, official letters. So that is destroyed, and his apartment is sealed so that nobody can loot his apartment, which is what had been done historically. So now the attention turns to the funeral, and there will be the first meeting of the cardinals here this morning, where they will be discussing which date that funeral will take place on. It looks like it could be this weekend, Friday, Saturday or Sunday, but that is yet to be confirmed. And we are expecting that Pope Francis's body will be moved from his sealed apartment to St. Peter's Basilica here behind me, where he will lie in state for a number of days. We know that he's asked that he won't be laid on that traditional platform. He wants to be in a coffin, an open coffin, so that people can file past and see him. This period that we are in right now is called Sede Vatici, and this means this seat is vacant. So that is the period that we are in right now. That's the timeline that we are looking at. And then, of course, the conclave set to take place in about 15 days' time. We can expect that to take place in early May, and that is a period of ritual, tradition and politics.
Yes, very much so. This mixture of emotion and human beings who are affected, but as we know, behind the doors, during what they call conclave, it will be very political as well. I don't know what the atmosphere is like there and what people are saying, but I just wonder what sort of pope they're expecting to be next. There are some front runners, but sometimes they make unusual decisions. Anyway, thanks very much, Ellie. We will be back with you a bit later on. Thank you.
And it's a beautiful day there in Rome, it has to be said, for such a sad occasion. We'll be bringing you the latest on that as we get developments at the Vatican. And if you are in search of a day that looks like today in Rome, here's where it could be.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It was a bit of a mixed picture for many of us over the bank holiday weekend, and there are still some showers around, particularly across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands too, though perhaps some sunnier spells here. But it is looking a little bit drier across parts of Spain and Portugal on Wednesday. Still plenty of showers on offer though for parts of Italy, Greece and Turkey as well. Temperatures for most of us in the high teens or low 20s. The best of the temperatures over the next couple of days, definitely across the Canary Islands, with highs here of 24 or 25 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
The Surrey Hills International Music Festival provides emerging artists with an opportunity to perform before audiences. It also champions accessibility and music education for primary school children. With me now to preview what audiences will hear is the chair of Surrey Hills International Music Festival, Julia Pearson. Julia, lovely to see you. Thank you for coming on GB News.
Thank you, Michael.
We're talking about a festival that takes place in May.
We are indeed, every May.
And Surrey Hills, what are the towns that are involved?
The Surrey Hills, in fact, occupies fully a quarter of the county, a quarter of Surrey. And it follows the chalk ridge from Farnham, above Guildford, Dorking, and on to Oxford. And the venues that we use are principally around the Guildford, Dorking areas of the Surrey Hills.
Are they, what, churches or concert halls or a bit of everything?
A little bit of everything, depending on the nature of the performers and what their needs are. So, for example, on the 6th of May, which is our opening concert, we have Betchworth Church, which is famous for 4 weddings and a funeral. So St Michael's Betchworth is the most beautiful church. That will be a performance space for the Hoody Menuhin School glistering students. We will also be using the West Horsley Place Stone Hall, which famously was inherited by Bamber Gascoigne, yes. And is an Elizabethan and Tudor building. And that opening concert will be with the London Consortium, who will be playing Elizabethan music from both the Elizabeth I and the period of Elizabeth II.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm just telling my Stephanie Parr story here to Jennifer Parrs, who's with me.
Yeah.
So she said it was at Roger Moore's funeral, and she said, Eamonn, how are you? And I looked and I thought, you know me? You talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah.
And she was talking to me. I said, how do you know me? And she went, oh, of course, I spent half my year here. I live in Oxfordshire. Yeah. So there you go. Isn't
but
that
not
amazing?
long enough to know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Well, I am really envious. I've always wanted to meet my half-namesake.
Yeah. Well, lovely lady.
Yeah. But anyway, Eamonn is here as well. We're going to go through the newspapers in a minute. Let's have a look at the front pages, though, right now. And they are all, I have to say, every single one of them dominated by the image of the Pope. Some of him looking better in his, there on the Daily Telegraph, beaming and in his prime. One last Easter blessing and his work was done. That's what the Telegraph says. The Times remembers the Pope as an outsider with a mission to change the Catholic Church. He's returned to the House of the Father, says the Daily Mail, as the battle for the future Pope begins. He fought all his life for the poor and forgotten. He was the people's Pope, says the Daily Mirror. A lot of the papers are saying that. The Daily Express gives focus to King Charles's tributes, describing him as a man who touched the lives of so many. The Sun leads with Truly Blessed and focuses on the millions mourning around the world. The Guardian remembers Pope Francis as the groundbreaking head of the Catholic Church. The Metro reiterates the final blessing the Pontiff gave on Easter Sunday as he served until the very end. And the Star, once again, with the People's Pope.
Yeah. So, Jennifer Parrs and Eamonn Bogle here with that. I don't know if either of you are Catholic in any way, but the thing about a leader like this, Eamonn, is that he touches the world. You know, he's significant to everybody. Did you think this man was significant enough?
Oh, indeed. I mean, it was only like yesterday. I remember when the People's Pope first became the Pope back in 2013. Yeah. And it hasn't been a very long time in the whole grand scheme of things, but I think the world has changed so dramatically that at a time like today, I think we need a figure like Pope Francis even more than before, where even within the UK, we see more people turning to the church as we saw over the Easter weekend. I think faith is a hugely important and strong place of comfort and where society...
And that might be an indicator as to who is chosen next, the type of person that the cardinals who are convening and will make this choice will go for.
Well, indeed, and so many people have watched the latest movie, Conclave, and so will be a little bit more knowledgeable, although that's a film, not a documentary, about how these things work. But as you say, he was an unexpected choice last time round.
Yes.
So
lots of people had to go and look up his name when he was announced as the new Papa.
So that was quite a surprise for Catholics around the world. So it's very hard to predict who will be chosen this time, although I'm sure as the days progress over this 9 days of mourning, that names will be
when you look back on John Paul II, he was a man of the moment. He was absolutely the right person. You could almost believe he was chosen by a higher authority, can't you? Because he just happened to be the right person.
That's certainly that momentous time in history. And I think a lot of people are now saying that this could be the time for the first sub-Saharan African Pope to come in. There's also a cardinal from the Philippines that possibly could be the next Pope.
There's even one from Britain, though I can't see that. We never seem to make
Cardinal Nichols.
Yeah, we never see popes here, but it'll be interesting to see who they choose. You know, unfortunately, it would be lovely to be a fly on the wall, but we can't.
Meanwhile, yesterday we had a number of religious commentators who were talking about what the Telegraph's reporting on, and that is a resurgence in church attendances.
Yes, there was a survey out recently by the Bible Society which said that those attending church at least once per month had gone up from 8 to 12% since 2018. So a low base, but quite a considerable rise on that. And amongst the young, it had gone up, it had quadrupled. From, I think, 4 to 16%. So, again, a huge... And that seems to be borne out anecdotally from priests across the country. So quite encouraging from both the Catholic, Anglican and other denominations' perspectives.
OK. Well, guys, thank you very much for reflecting on that. And Jennifer and Eamonn will be back in about 40 minutes' time, where we'll have a longer look at what is in the papers besides the death of the Pope. So stay with us. We'll be back with that after this weather update. And who's doing that?
Craig Snell.
Oh.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions are very far north of Scotland, where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of the showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we ended the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout to the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M4 eastbound exit slip at Junction 5 in Slough has a broken down vehicle on one of two lanes. Normal traffic conditions are anticipated between 7:15 and 7:30 this morning. Meanwhile, the A494 eastbound from Garden City to Deeside Industrial Park is closed for cyclic maintenance, including the exit slip road. Diversions are in place for drivers. Please drive with caution, and for more travel news go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning and welcome to a very important GB News breakfast programme.
Roman Catholics around the world are mourning the death of Pope Francis.
I'm here in Rome where preparations are already underway for the Pope's funeral. Leaders from around the world pay tribute to the Holy Father, with many describing him a tireless advocate for peace. Cardinals seal and lock off the Pope's official residence as mourners await the date of the funeral. And now attention turns to the secret process of choosing his successor as the College of Cardinals prepare together for the much anticipated conclave.
We'll be bringing you reaction as it happens back here at home with our reporters right across the country. We'll be visiting Liverpool and Belfast this morning and hearing tributes to the late Pope.
A book of condolence has been opened here at Liverpool's Metropolitan Cathedral in the heart of the UK's biggest Catholic community following the sad passing of the Pope.
I'm here in Northern Ireland where Catholics are coming to terms with the passing of their religious leader, but all attention now goes to that College of Cardinals. Ireland have none under 80, so for the first time Ireland will not have a vote in the choosing of the new Pope.
Meanwhile, in other news, the government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals who are awaiting deportation in what is being described as a landmark move.
Rachel Reeves is heading to Washington, where she'll meet her American counterpart amid hopes of a US trade deal.
And free school breakfast clubs are set to open across 750 primary schools, and fears are already growing that government funding is just not going to be enough.
Then it's a day of sunshine and April showers for most of us today. Find out all the weather details with me coming up a little later.
Just after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning, good morning to you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Ann Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, live in Rome for this very special edition of GB News Breakfast.
It is interesting to see the reaction and how it has grown and took so many people by surprise yesterday morning, not least us here in the studio. I thought the Vatican were very well organised from the point of view that he was pronounced dead by their health department at 7:55, and by 8:45
we were being told.
And by 9 o'clock we were on air delivering that exact news. So less than 24 hours after delivering his Easter blessing, the Vatican made that announcement on the death of Pope Francis.
We do now know that he died peacefully following a stroke and heart failure. And of course, all the attention in Rome is now turning to his funeral and then the next Pope. Ellie, what's the atmosphere like in Rome right now, and particularly there in St. Peter's Square?
Well, morning to you, Eamon and Anne. And Eamon, I think you make a really good point there about the shock and the surprise that this has come to people. And that is extraordinary in itself, considering that we knew that the Pope had poor health. He'd been in hospital until about a month ago for 5 weeks, but it looked as though he'd turned a corner. He was here on Easter Sunday. It looked as though potentially he was getting better. So yes, I do think it took people by surprise that he passed away on Easter Monday at about 7:35 in the morning. And there has been this outpouring of grief, not only here by Catholics, but by people of no faith. I was coming through the airport last night, and up on the screens were pictures of Pope Francis simply with the word grazie on it, thank you, in Italian, meaning that even if you are of no faith, even if you are not Catholic, you can understand and you can appreciate that this was a great man who did good work, who tried his best, and that this is a moment in history. And actually, as we're speaking right now, Eamon and Anne, officials here at the Vatican City have just allowed tourist groups to come through into St. Peter's Square, because we have to remember it has just, of course, been Easter weekend, hasn't it? It is a Jubilee year for the Church. There are so many tourists here in Rome who wanted to come to St. Peter's Square, who wanted to come to St. Peter's Basilica behind me. They didn't know, of course, that this was going to happen. I've just seen people come by in an endless stream, young and old. There are priests here, monks, nuns, some of them looking very distressed and upset. I don't know if they flew in yesterday or whether they were already here for the Easter celebrations, but this is something that has taken people by surprise. So there is this outpouring of grief and shock, and also the busy preparations that are already underway, starting last night, preparing for the funeral.
Do you know, I mean, Ellie, is anything happening particularly today? And have they yet announced how the next few 9 or 10 days are going to go? What's going to happen and when?
So this morning at about 7 o'clock, Anne, there was this first meeting of the cardinals. They started to arrive here in the Vatican, where they will start to discuss when the funeral should take place. Traditionally, it takes place between 4 and 6 days after the death of a pope, which would mean that it could be this weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We don't yet have a confirmation on that date, but we do have a timeline on how things are going to go. These things are steeped in tradition, as you know. So Pope Francis is currently lying in his sealed apartment. He actually refused to live in the papal palaces here in the Vatican City. Instead, he chose to live in very simple apartments, the Santa Marta apartments, and his body is in that sealed apartment as we speak. It will then be moved, likely tomorrow morning, to St. Peter's Basilica behind me, where he will then lie in state. He has asked that he won't be put on a platform. He wants to be in an open coffin so that pilgrims can file behind and see him in that open coffin. We then go into a process of lying in state, which will be 3 days, and the funeral could take place on the 5th or the 6th day. We are in this official period of mourning, which is set to last 9 days, and this period is the Sede Vatici, which basically means this seat is vacant, and currently the hunt is on for the next pope. I know that you have watched that film Conclave, and I've watched it too. It is a fantastic film that was very well done by Stanley Tucci, wasn't it? Who did a very good job of showing us what this process is going to look like in the coming days. And after that funeral, which could take place this weekend, we will enter the conclave, and that is where cardinals from around the world, usually about 15 days after the death of the Pope, will come together. They will be locked away in the Sistine Chapel, quite literally locked in with no access to the outside world, and a series of ballots will start where they will write the name of the person they would like to be Pope, and they will place it in a chalice. A series of ballots will take place. It could go on for days, even weeks, although in recent years it has only been a day or so. Each ballot, if it's unsuccessful, those votes are put into a fire. Black smoke then comes out of the chimney, telling people outside that they had not yet chosen a pope. And eventually, there will be a moment when 2/3 majority, a person is selected to become the next pope. Those papers go into the fire, and white smoke will appear. An additive is added to those papers. White smoke will appear from the chimneys, and the world is told that we will have a new pope. But this is a very long process. We're looking at that starting at the start of May, but for now, this is a period of shock, of grief, and people coming to say goodbye to a great man, Pope Francis.
Thanks for that, Ellie. Appreciate it. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We just noticed in there, Ellie was talking about his lying in state, and he won't. Normally, the cardinals would have a private viewing of the body exposed, but that's now not happening. And he took a lot of time and attention in
planning his own funeral.
Yeah. And one of the things he did was normally a pope would lie in a 3-tiered coffin.
Yeah.
So there would be a coffin within a coffin within a coffin.
Made of different woods.
Yeah, but now it's only a single.
It's a very simple single one, yeah. He was all about that, simplicity and understanding people who aren't as well off and all the rest of it.
Well, here's a man who understands an awful lot of his parish, and that's Father Brian Darcy. He's a passionist priest, he's a broadcaster, he's a writer, and I'm proud to say he's a very good friend of mine as well. Brian, good to see you.
Good to see you, Eamonn. Good to see you. Yeah. Thanks, your husband. Glad to see you looking so well, and Anne too.
Brian, how do you feel about this? I mean, he had his 10, 12 years doing the job. Do you think that he makes his mark in history, or how will you remember him as a pope and as a man?
Well, personally, I remember him as a very friendly man to me. At one stage during the previous regime, I fell foul of the Vatican ideas of what free speech should be, and I was on the list to be silenced, or at least attempted to be tamed down in what I was saying. I was being very critical of the Vatican's way and the Catholic Church's way of dealing with sexual abuse of children, and I don't regret being strong in that, and I still would be strong in that. But the coming of Francis, when Francis came very shortly afterwards, after about 3 weeks of the new Pope was saying exactly what I was saying. So I felt very much affirmed and confirmed by that. And so he holds a special place in my heart. I think he's been a wonderful man trying to get the church to live in a real world. And that's not an easy thing to do. He has had great opposition in his life, mainly from the clerical church and from the more conservative church. But he is a man who is very much based on the Christ of the gospel. He tried to be that, the man who was held his views and certainly held the line on moral principles. But he didn't say that we have to be perfect to be a member of the church. He understood that being a perfect moral capacity was one thing, but that most of us are human beings struggling as best we can in a difficult world to be a little less imperfect than we used to be. And that is exactly what the kind of pastoral Pope that he was. And for me, he's been quite unique, probably in my lifetime now. We were ordained actually within a week of each other. And he was ordained on the 13th of December 1969. I was ordained on the 20th of December 1969. So we're very much contemporaneous in the priesthood, 55 years each in the priesthood. And we have seen so many things. We've seen the Vatican Council. We have seen the church being a very powerful image. Then we saw sex abuse and other things coming through and destroying not only our Catholic Church, but other churches as well, and other institutions indeed as well. And a whole new way of looking at life. And the idea of this remote and perfect group of people suddenly was squashed flat. And we have to develop and redevelop ourselves in a real world where real human beings are trying to be as close to what Christ would want as we can be. And nobody can ask more than that. And I think he was the paradigm of that particular kind of Pope, a Pope who understood human nature, who was willing to lay his principles down and was willing to say, well, if you can't make the full perfection of the law, then at least do your best, and Christ will be satisfied with that.
Well, a lot of the newspapers today, the picture editors, have chosen some absolutely charming photographs of him. I mean, the one there on the front of the Telegraph catches the twinkle in his eye. And all of the commentators say, the ones who've met him, say he did have a really funny sense of humour. Apparently, when he was actually voted in and told, right, the vote goes with you, you are the new Pope, he turned round to the other cardinals and he said, may God forgive you all. And apparently it brought the house down. So he had a great sense of humour, and of course I suppose that made him more accessible to ordinary people too.
Yeah, they always say that a sense of humour is a genuine sense of humour is a sign of deep humility, and I would say that was what he was. He didn't take himself overly serious. He tried to live as much a common person as anybody could in a Vatican situation, and his little famous and the most unique way of dealing with the public was on the press conferences coming back from his pilgrimages or from his visits to foreign places. And, Vaticanologists dreaded those days because they weren't sure what he was going to say or how he was going to say it. He did have a genuine ability to chat to people at the people's level without trying to be imposing a sort of false spirituality or a false religiosity on people. I just think he has been one of the greatest things since John the 23rd. I remember John the 23rd, who in the early 60s, and he was a breath of fresh air. He was the one who introduced the Second Vatican Council. In fact, I think Pope Francis will be remembered as the one who took the Second Vatican Council seriously. Really and truly, the Second Vatican Council has been put on mothballs for practically 50 years. Francis was the one who shook off the mothballs and brought the reality of what it is. For example, he recently has been working very hard on bringing a sense of what he calls synodality. That is, people gathering together in local groups, listening and discerning rather than imposing a view, and finding out what's the best way to move forward. And it was just a wonderful Jesuitical way of doing things, and I think it means the face of the Church.
Now, Father Bran, you are a great man for, spreading the word, mixing with your congregation congregations and getting up close and personal with them as to what they think. What do they think about his passing? I mean, is there a genuine sadness?
A very, very genuine sadness. There are two things, Eamonn, and I think as Christians, he would love this. There's a great sense of sadness that a man that we could identify with and hoped for, who had the ability to change and gave himself entirely to that. There's a genuine sense of sadness. I had Mass pretty much early yesterday morning, soon after he died, and there was a large congregation just turned out for the Mass, and we chatted and exchanged stories afterwards, and there was a genuine appreciation, genuine knowledge of what the Pope was trying to do, and an appreciation of that. Also, though, from a pastoral point of view, from us, we realised that the man was killing himself by working too hard. And it shows that on Sunday, where he had right at the very end, he was willing to give himself to the people and wish them a happy Easter. And I think our theology and spirituality would tell us there comes a time when it is best to go. And if you're coming to a time that's best to go, really at Easter time is exactly it, because it remembers the passion, death and resurrection of Jesus, which means we're not going to a hopeless place. We have the hope that we'll be with God forever, and he was given that great gift on Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. And I think there's a little more than just a coincidence in that. It was a sign that he had done his work, time was up, and it was time for him to rest in peace.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to rest you now, Brian. Thank you very much indeed for your excellent tribute there and your insider's view on Pope Francis. Thanks, Brian. Good seeing you.
God bless Eamonn. God bless Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you were talking there about his 10 years or so, and these pictures that are all over the papers today. There is a huge physical difference in that man's face and appearance over 10 years.
Yeah.
So he obviously was very ill, and I'd say on a lot of medication.
Yes, I think that his face showed that very much so, didn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Yes, I think, what have we got time for now? I think we're speeding to the weather straight away. Here's the weather with Craig Snell.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions the very far north of Scotland, where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of these showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we end the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout to the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, amongst the sadness that the past couple of days has brought, we are now in a position to bring you happiness, lots of happiness. £67,000 plus 5 is 72,000 quid in total.
Yeah, but the main thing that's getting everybody excited is the fact that the big amount, 67 grand, is a motorhome. And everybody's seen, everywhere I go, people talk about the motorhome and hoping that they can win it.
Have you ever had a motorhome?
No, but I've always wanted to drive, pack all the kids in the back and drive across the States.
Well, we'll not be able to pack the kids in the back.
Well, not now, because they're all huge.
I think you and I could do this, and we could bring along maybe, Stephen Dixon.
Yes, Stephen wants to drive it, yeah.
Yes, we could sort of have a foursome.
Yeah, except that we're not... It's going to be competitioned off to one of our viewers.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
have a go.
Here's how to have a go.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, very good luck with that. Now, still to come, free school breakfast clubs are going to open across 750 primary schools. Everybody's a bit worried about where the money's going to come from, and we're going to be speaking to the government about that next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're about to talk about these breakfast clubs at schools, 750 of them. The government's planning to roll out across England. And the thing is, whereas in normal times and on the face of it, people might say, oh, yeah, that's nice, that's quite a good idea. We're having quite a lot of kickback from you guys today saying, where are we getting the money for this one? And why isn't this a parental responsibility?
Exactly. Well, a lot of people got various different ideas on it. Fraser Myers is here from Spite. I mean, we're going to talk to the Minister in a few moments about it, and I can see that the Labour government is going to think everybody's going to welcome this. And there's no doubt some people will.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of criticism about the state taking over parental responsibilities.
Yeah, I think people will be asking, well, why does the government need to provide breakfast? Why does the government need to provide toothbrushing lessons? All kinds of things that were previously understood to be the responsibility of parents. And, of course, no one wants children to grow up hungry or anything like that, but you'd think that that's the role of other policies. That's the role of economic policy, to lower the cost of living, to find ways to increase people's pay packets, rather than intervening in this kind of, you know, it is an interference in the family, ultimately. Why do you need that?
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, it is addressing a need. Children are going to school unable to feed themselves, frankly. They haven't had breakfast, so they're hungry. And we do hear reports that teachers are actually having to try and find the money themselves to buy these children, because they know there's a need. They're going to have to teach them how to brush their teeth. What's next, do you think?
Look, I'll tell you what's next. It doesn't stop there. If they can't brush their teeth, there's other things they can't do as well, of a more personal nature.
Yes.
And I tell you, Fraser, I think there's a lack of parental responsibility, and you can sit and say, I'm hard-hearted and everybody should have money and whatever, but I come from a working class background, 4 other brothers, and we never once went to school without a bowl of cereal or whatever, or teeth cleaned and fresh out the door and all that sort of thing.
That was a matter of maternal pride, you know.
Well, of course it was. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I look at this and I think, where do we stop? Where do we get off in making life easy for people?
Well, I think also, yeah, you know, it's worth pointing out, working class people are capable of doing this and have been capable for so long, and I think I resent the idea that they're not capable, that they need the state's assistance for those quite basic things. And I think it gets worse and worse. With every new intervention, the parental responsibility falls away.
Yes.
So I can't see it stopping. You know, there will be more things, I'm sure. There are stories, you know, horror stories of children turning up to primary school not potty trained and things like that.
That's right.
Is that going to be the next thing from the Labour government? Are they going to teach that to children as well? I mean,
quite apart from the moral side of it, the moral argument that it's not a teacher's job, frankly. I thought a teacher's job was to teach, and a parent's job is to parent. But apart from that, where would the money come from? I mean, they're rolling out, 30 million, I think they're saying, to this trial period of 750 schools having free breakfast clubs. But if they conclude that it's a success, and they probably will, because the children will enjoy it. They'll work better, having a full tummy and all the rest of it. Where would the money come from?
Well, yeah,
out across the country.
And you know, the UK's finances are already pretty squeezed, and Rachel Reeves is always looking for cuts and things like that to make. So you do wonder, yeah, this is an entirely new programme that we're not convinced that is necessary. It hasn't been necessary until now. It hasn't. So, yeah, where will the money come from? That's something that's got to be answered.
Where does the food come from? When you look, so many little juniors are so fussy about what they eat and whatever.
Oh, well, I mean, everybody hated school meals, didn't they?
Exactly. So what's going to be different now? I mean, if you don't give them Frosties or Sugar Puffs, then, you know, why are they going to have anything?
Well, I tell you what, let's ask the Minister, because I think he's ready. He's Stephen Morgan, who's the Minister for Early Education. Should be right there live now on College Green outside Westminster. A very good morning to you, Stephen Morgan. We're wondering where the money is going to come from to pay for these breakfast clubs. If they do prove to be a success, it'll be necessary to roll them out right across the country, won't it?
Well, that's right. And today, all across the country, in towns and cities across the country, we are rolling out free breakfast clubs. We know that they make a big difference on attendance, on behaviour and on attainment, and give parents more choices around childcare, saving parents on average £450 a year. We tripled the budget for breakfast clubs in the budget last October, and obviously this important test and learn phase, we will learn how they're working in every part of the country to roll them out to every state school in the country. We recognise that this is a priority. We stood on this at the election as a manifesto commitment, and we will make the funding work for every school in the country.
Haven't said where the money's going to come from, because already Rachel Reeves says nothing other than the fact that there's a huge black hole and she's having trouble finding any money for anything.
Well, we set this as a priority at the election, and that's what we're delivering for parents up and down the country. We tripled the funding for breakfast clubs in October, and I'm really excited that today over 750 schools are rolling out free breakfast clubs in communities up and down the country.
Why is it a priority, Stephen? I'm just interested to know, of all the things that you've got to look after and things you've got to do, why is giving some kid a bowl of cornflakes a priority?
Because all the evidence tells us that if children go to school hungry, then they're not ready to learn. And we know that breakfast clubs will socialise children ahead of the start of the school day. And I also recognise that family budgets are really stretched at the moment. So our commitment on breakfast clubs will save parents £450 a year on top of what we're doing as a government around the early years entitlement and capping the number of school branded uniform items. And that will save on average £8,000 for a family in England. I think that's really good action by this government, part of our plan for change at a time that people are feeling budget squeezed at home.
You really believe that children are going to school hungry because their parents can't afford to give them a bowl of cornflakes?
Absolutely. If you look at the numbers of children in poverty across our country, they've gone up in recent years. So absolutely, I know from talking to parents all across the country and to teachers that this breakfast club rollout will make a big difference to children's lives.
Why doesn't the government think of spending the money on a campaign telling parents that it's their parental responsibility to feed their children in the morning?
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, because we know from all the research and evidence that children going to school hungry is not good for their learning. We think it's the right thing to do. And as I said, we set it out at our manifesto and obviously won that election. So we're excited to be rolling this out. I know teachers too speak really positively of breakfast clubs. I was in a school only last week where they were rolling this out. Parents spoke really positively of the difference it makes. It helps them get to work on time. It helps them with any errands they might be doing ahead of the start of the school day, but ultimately it also supports families with the cost of living crisis.
But why, I mean, Anne's point is, why is that your responsibility? It becomes our responsibility as taxpayers. Why isn't a mum and dad's responsibility to do that? And I say that with all sensitivity. It may sound like I'm not that way, but I grew up in a working class background. I saw real poverty at school, real poverty, and I was never aware of people rubbing their tummies during the day with hunger pains and whatever. And I just think that the emphasis should be it's a parental responsibility, not a state responsibility.
Well, we are committed to tackling child poverty. We've set out a child poverty task force, which will conclude later this year. But more generally, this government wants to break down the barriers to opportunity, to end that unfair link between background and success. And there are a range of things that we are doing already and more that will come, because I want to make sure that every child, whatever background they come from, whatever part of the country they live in, that they can succeed and thrive in life and go on to a good, well-paid job.
Okay, guys, that's what the Minister thinks. If you're listening or watching, have your say and have it in your say, and we will reflect that throughout the programme this morning.
But Minister, thank you very much indeed for joining us live from College Green. And in a couple of moments, we'll be live from St Peter's Square in Rome, where Ellie is covering it all at the moment, as people come in from all over the world to fill Rome at the moment. Ellie managed to get on a plane last night. I don't think you'll be able to get a plane very soon out to Rome. But there she is, and we'll be joining her in just a couple of moments.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers using the M74 southbound should be aware that junction 6 off Slip is restricted due to a breakdown. For those travelling via the A494 eastbound from Garden City to Deeside Industrial Park, the road is closed for maintenance with diversions in place. In Slough, the M4 eastbound exit Slip at junction 5 has a broken down vehicle, causing one-lane closure. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, less than 24 hours after delivering his Easter blessing, the Vatican announced the death of Pope Francis.
And we've now been told that he died peacefully following a stroke and heart failure. And of course, all the attention in Rome, first of all, we'll be looking to his funeral, and then asking who's next, and that we'll go through the conclave business and all of that. Ellie is in Rome for us at the moment. There's Ellie, hi. Yes, what's the atmosphere like at the moment, and what's going to happen next, Ellie?
Morning, Eamonn and Anne. Well, the atmosphere is one of grief. It's one of shock. There was a sense that on Easter Sunday, the Pope had perhaps turned a corner, that his health issues had been perhaps put to one side. For now, he was out and about. He was working. So although people knew he was 88 years old, they knew that he was sick. They thought that perhaps he was getting better. So there is that still sense of shock here this morning. It is also incredibly busy here in the square and with St. Peter's Basilica here behind me. We have the tourists that were here for Easter weekend. They are still taking part in their tours around the Basilica and around the square this morning. And then we have the mourners. We have groups of monks. We've got nuns here as well, some of them looking very emotional, obviously here to pay their respects to Pope Francis. And the world's press as well has descended on this square for this moment in history.
Thank you, Ellie. We've got reporters all around the country bringing you reaction to the death of the Pope.
Yeah, we've got Steve Bennett in Liverpool and Dougie Beattie, of course, in Belfast. Take it away, gentlemen.
Dougie's not in Belfast, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're in Newton Ards, as I understand it, Dougie.
I am indeed, Eamonn. I am in Newton Ards, and this, of course, is a very historical chapel behind us. It was built in the 1700s, designed by John Hanson for Lord Castlereagh's sister-in-law. And, of course, Lord Castlereagh was in charge of European forces during the Napoleonic Wars, and he famously freed the Pope from prison and refloated the Vatican Bank because he needed a moral compass for people in Europe afterwards, and he recognised any religion at all would be of help to European forces in Europe. And that has played out the whole way through history. And Ireland has had a troubled past with Catholicism and Lutheranism, but this Pope in particular was different. He always said that he was a sinner, which brought him closer to the Calvinist thinking in the Calvinist churches. And right across Ireland, in Protestant and Catholic places of worship, they are very sad and sorrowed about the passing of this Pope that was more or less an evangelical Pope. And he recognised the need for people to have those morals.
From Newton Ards, we go to Liverpool. Steve Bennett. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you both. Things are very calm here in Liverpool this morning. Actually, there is going to be a service very shortly behind us in the Metropolitan Cathedral. That starts at about 7:45, where we expect tributes, of course, to be paid to the late Pope. And a few locals who have spoken to us off camera today have already expressed their shock at the passing of Pope Francis. As you have already mentioned, he was seen just a few days ago blessing the crowds there in St. Peter's Square, and it has come as a bit of a shock, his passing, despite the fact that he had been ill for a few months. The locals here still coming to terms with the fact that, unfortunately, Pope Francis is no longer with us, and the process of electing that new Pope will now begin. So we hope to hear from some more locals today to gather their thoughts of the sad passing of the Pope.
Right, gentlemen, both, thank you very much indeed. And stay with us, because still to come, we'll be going through the papers with Jennifer Powers and Eamonn Bogle. But if you're in search of holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It was a bit of a mixed picture for many of us over the bank holiday weekend, and there are still some showers around, particularly across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands too, though perhaps some sunnier spells here. But it is looking a little bit drier across parts of Spain and Portugal on Wednesday. Still plenty of showers on offer though for parts of Italy, Greece and Turkey as well. Temperatures for most of us in the high teens or low 20s. The best of the temperatures over the next couple of days, definitely across the Canary Islands, with highs here of 24 or 25 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
Hey, it's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, how fierce is the competition to become Lord Sugar's next business partner? Well, our final guest today has been in the throes of that competition.
Goodness me, yes. Liam Snellan is taking part in the current series of The Apprentice, and he worked as an electrician for 10 years, and now he's turning his hand to making comfortable yet fashionable workwear. So there you go.
Well, I just want to ask what it's like To be a contestant on The Apprentice, having been a fan of the show for years prior, is it a bit weird?
Yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't say it's weird. I feel like you can manifest anything in life, you know, and over 10 years ago I said that I wanted to be on the show with no real business at the time and not knowing how I was going to do it. But as I said, I manifested it and I'm here and on the show.
You manifested it? How did you manifest it then? Go on.
Well, you just need to vision that something has already happened, you know, you just haven't attained it yet, so you just need to attain the frequency to achieve that thing, and that's obviously what I've done, and it's my time.
Liam, are you still on the show?
I am still on the show.
How far did you make it?
So, well, you have to wait and see.
Spoiler.
You have to wait and see, obviously...
Could be the winner.
Yeah, could be. So we had a little bit of banter about a hot sauce. I was licking a plate, which was a bit embarrassing. So we was doing an advertisement for our hot sauce brand, and we didn't actually have the bottle, so we needed to sort of think on our feet and make an advert without having the product.
How long are you in the boardroom? Obviously, it has to be sliced down to an hour, but you must be in there for a long time, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So obviously, you're in there a lot longer than what it shows. You know, it's such a small part of the show when really you're in there for like up to a couple of hours. So it's a really intense period. Like, they definitely go into all of the task and the good things and the bad things that happened, and then obviously the key highlights get shown to the public.
The People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Here to discuss what's in the papers, Jennifer Powers and Eamonn Bogle. Could I just say, because we've got so many other things to do today, just congratulations to Leeds United and Burnley back up into the Premier League as well from last night. So great results for them.
Well, jolly good for that. Let's talk about President Trump, Jennifer, because, well, he's sort of thrown another spanner in the works. What's he done this time?
Well, indeed. He has ignited fresh market chaos by making comments about the Fed chair, the chair of the Federal Reserve, America's central bank, Mr. Jerome Powell, who he is frustrated with because he says he has not cut interest rates fast enough. And he calls Mr. Powell Mr. Too Slow.
Is that a bit like our Prime Minister telling off the Bank of England?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I see.
So, yes, it sparked trillions of dollars
why shouldn't he?
coming off stocks and a 3-year plunge in the dollar. So it is having huge market repercussions. I suppose he's allowed to, but it does have consequences.
Well, I mean, look, this is about free democracy. This is about bringing actual free trade back to the US. President Trump campaigned on what he's doing day in, day out. He's promised the American people that he was going to bring back jobs, he was going to stand up to the Chinese communists, and he was going to rewire the global economy. Let's not forget the US has a $300 billion deficit with the Chinese communists. We in the UK have a £55 billion deficit with the Chinese. Now, we can either have higher unemployment and more debt to pay for all those cheap goods the Chinese are flooding our markets with, or we can do the decent thing. And, well, you know, I always say, well, how does the man in Sheffield or the woman in Scunthorpe feel? Do they feel better off than they did 30 years ago? I don't think they do.
No, but the Americans are beginning to feel better off, aren't they? Or at least they feel they've got a president who's doing something for them.
Yes, I mean, it is becoming more controversial, and we've seen those very, very high positive poll ratings for Trump on the slide, even amongst, you know, members of my family who live in the States, who are big Trump supporters. They're finding them starting to have grave reservations because of the impact on the stock market and the general economy. So whilst I hear what you're saying, Eamonn, about there being really some sense behind resetting the global trade order, this, I think, is about unsettling global markets and by attacking the Fed chair for not going fast enough, trying to kind of intervene institutionally in how America.
But I always think, don't you, that we're always so our politicians are so frightened of upsetting the markets. Why shouldn't the markets get upset once in a while?
Well, the thing is,
maybe they're not doing things right.
Well, the thing is, markets have a tendency to fluctuate wildly on one day and then in the other direction the next. The bottom line here is that we've got J.D. Vance, who was in Rome 3 days ago. He's been in Delhi yesterday. The Vietnamese, who have been the biggest beneficiary of exports coming in, not from China, but from Vietnam in terms of manufacture, are lining up with another 75, queuing up with another 75 countries to do trade deals with the US. So the whole idea is to get people around the table and say, look, for far too long, the Chinese communists have been dumping products into Western markets and destabilizing free trade. It cannot go on that we have such huge deficits. We will end up running out of money.
OK. What we're going to run into is AI. Amal, tell us about AI and young people and why they're turning to AI for therapy.
Well, look, Eamonn, at the minute, it takes 8 times longer, 8 times more likely to wait over 18 months for mental health assistance than physical health.
Yeah.
And that's a real indictment of where we are with the NHS, with the mental health pandemic we have in this country. Now, the bottom line here is that I think it's another indictment of our times that young people are finding it easier to talk to AI than
Does AI talk back to you?
It can do, but mostly it'll write back to you. Mm-hmm. But very quickly, immediately, just as though you were speaking.
Yeah.
And it's friendly, and it tempers its language to suit whoever you are speaking. It is so clever. I can't tell you.
See, this is interesting. I know people who have been looking for mental health support and just can't get it on the NHS. Just forget it. So this is interesting because Anne obviously believes there's a role for AI in all of this. What do you think?
Look, I think we should be wary of allowing programmed artificial intelligence to act as what traditionally I would have thought friends were there for. You know, you spoke to your friends and family about issues you might be facing and seek their support and wisdom. Where are the elders? Where are the families? Where are the local faith communities? And that's why I'm hopeful that with the uptick in church attendance over the last weekend,
what do you think?
might.
Well, I agree with Eamonn that we must tread a little bit carefully. I can see that it can provide a great support to a great many people, but there have been already tragic cases of young people who have been persuaded by a chatbot to commit suicide. So how do we ensure that if people
There's something deeply wrong about the programming of that particular AI then.
So how do we ensure that if someone's getting a bit of support from the AI, if they go to a very bad place, indeed that they're referred on to human care, but also that it doesn't go wrong at a programming level, as you say. Yeah.
Well, of course, I suppose the other thing you don't think of is AI isn't one thing. There'll be a number of different companies doing lots of different
the quality could vary.
The quality could vary enormously, I suppose.
Yes.
We live in strange times, don't we? Very quickly, chimpanzees, Jennifer, get together over an alcoholic drink.
Well,
in the nature.
I think this is a fantastic story about the chimpanzees communing because, we know that eating together and drinking together is a way that we increase intimacy with our friends, build that sense of community.
But very quickly, they found chimps doing it in the jungle with a sort of, some sort of a fruit that matures into an alcohol.
Yes, indeed. Well, they're a bit like us.
It used just to be tea, now it's alcohol. Here's your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions are very far north of Scotland where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of the showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we ended the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 is restricted eastbound between Junction 5 and Junction 4A due to a road traffic collision, so please use caution on approach. In Surrey, on the M3 westbound between Junction 2 and Junction 3, there is a vehicle fire causing 2 lanes to close and delays of around 20 minutes. Traffic is moving slowly on the M1 southbound, with a broken down vehicle between Junction 11 and Junction 10 in Luton. There is a lane closure in place, so expect minor delays. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
A special GB News breakfast today. You're very welcome to it.
Catholics around the world, of course, are mourning the death of Pope Francis.
Well, Ellie is in Rome for us this morning, and leaders from around the world are paying tribute to the Holy Father, with many describing him as a tireless advocate for peace.
Cardinals are sealing and locking off the Pope's official residence, as they always do, as mourners await the date of his funeral. We don't know that date yet. And of course, now attention turns to the secret process of choosing his successor, as the College of Cardinals prepare to gather for the much-anticipated Conclave.
We'll find out reaction back here at home with our reporters across the country.
A book of condolence has been opened here at Liverpool's Metropolitan Cathedral in the heart of the UK's biggest Catholic community following the sad passing of Pope Francis.
Catholics across Ireland are now coming to terms with the loss of their religious leader, but questions are being asked over canon law that means that no cardinals here can vote for a new pope.
In other news, the government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals awaiting deportation in what they're describing as a landmark move.
The Chancellor is headed to Washington, where she will meet her American counterpart amid hopes of a US trade deal.
And free school breakfast clubs are going to open across 750 primary schools, but fears are already growing that there isn't enough government funding.
Then it's a day of sunshine and April showers for most of us today. Find out all the weather details with me coming up a little later.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. However you're watching, however you're listening, you're very welcome. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is an important and special edition of GB News Breakfast.
Well, the first thing we will do is to cross there live to the Vatican, St. Peter's Square in Rome, and there for us, Ellie Costello. Ellie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eamonn and Anne from St. Peter's Square in Rome, where pilgrims from all around the world are descending to mourn and pay their respects to Pope Francis. I've just been speaking to people from London, from India, from Seattle in the US, all of them united in their grief. We'll bring some of that to you later on in the programme. So there is this outpouring of grief here this morning, and meanwhile preparations underway for the funeral of Pope Francis, which traditionally would take place between 4 and 6 days after a pope's death. So we are looking at this weekend, Friday, Saturday or Sunday. No confirmation yet on the date, but we do have some detail on what the funeral will look like, and it will look very different from what we've seen before. It'll be away from the ostentatious displays of pomp and pageantry. Pope Francis has asked that it will be a very simple affair. It won't be here at the Vatican. It will be at Maria Maggiore, which is actually outside of the Vatican City in Rome, in a simple wooden coffin. And he is, as people are describing him here, the people's Pope, and that is fitting even after death with his choice of funeral arrangements.
Thank you, Ellie. We'll cross back and forward to Rome and Ellie throughout the programme.
But it's amazing, isn't it, when there is a major eventful death, such as the death of Pope Francis, that you think the world's going to stop, but it doesn't. Politics goes on, doesn't it? And there's lots to talk about. We're across now to the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp. A very good morning to you. Can I ask you first, just for your reaction to the terrible news yesterday that Pope Francis had died and the shock that everybody is feeling?
Yeah, well, it's extremely sad. He's obviously a man who, over his entire lifetime, dedicated himself to the service of others. And I think not just Catholics or indeed Christians, but I think people across the whole world of all faiths will feel deeply his loss as a spiritual leader of real stature.
Back to the politics. We've been talking this morning about Labour's announcement of free breakfast clubs that they're rolling out, or at least they're doing a trial of 750 now, and they hope to roll out right across the country. And there's a real dialogue going on amongst the people watching and listening right now, saying, hang on a minute, isn't that a parent's responsibility to send their child to school with a breakfast inside them? Why is the government taking on such roles? Why are teachers having to do the job of social workers or nannies?
Yeah, well, of course, I think it is first and foremost a parent's responsibility to make sure their child is well fed in the morning, well dressed and properly cared for. Of course, that is first and foremost the family's own responsibility. Now, of course, some children, their parents maybe don't have the resources necessary to do that, and that's why there are free school meals already in place for children on the very, very lowest incomes where their parents genuinely can't afford to look after them. That is a minority of cases, but that's been in place for, I think, 10 years or maybe more. What Labour are doing here is trying to provide free school meals on a universal basis for everybody, including children from well-off backgrounds, and that is frankly not a good use of taxpayers' money, and it is also sort of stepping in, the state, the government, stepping in to an area which should be first and foremost the responsibility of parents.
Chris, let's talk about one of the big things that you're going to deal with today. You're going to announce plans to scrap the use of non-crime hate incidents, NCHIS, by police forces right across the country. I'm slightly confused how something is a hate incident but yet non-crime at the same time. Where do you stand on this? What are you looking to do?
Well, what I'm concerned about is the fact that in recent years, the police have been wasting colossal amounts of time. It's been estimated 60,000 hours a year investigating these so-called non-crime hate incidents, which, as the name suggests, do not meet the criminal threshold. And frankly, and I'm sure your viewers as well, want police to be investigating real crime, you know, car theft, domestic burglary, mobile phone theft, all of those things, not acting as the thought police, investigating and recording, you know, people having arguments on Twitter. They've even got involved in playground disputes between children. That is a total waste of police time. When it involves people saying things online, it is also an infringement on free speech. And I want the police to stop doing that and concentrate on their job, which is catching real criminals.
Absolutely. We'll leave it there for the moment. Chris Philp, thank you very much indeed, because we will be wanting to go back to Vatican City now and join Ellie, who is there for us at the moment. Ellie, what's happening today? What is likely to be happening in the next few days?
Well, morning to you again, Anne. Well, cardinals met here for the first time since the death of Pope Francis at 7 a.m. this morning, where they will be discussing a number of things, but one of the most important will be the date of Pope Francis's funeral. Traditionally, it would take place between 4 and 6 days after the death of the popes. We are looking at Friday, Saturday or Sunday, but no date yet to be confirmed. As soon as we have some detail on that, I can bring that to you. We do have some details on what the funeral will look like when it takes place. We know that it will be a simple affair. It will take place at the Santa Marta Maggiore Church. He will not be buried here inside the Vatican City. It is instead his favourite church in Rome. It was the church that Pope Francis would go to before and after every pilgrimage that he went on. In fact, it was the church that he asked to stop at when he left hospital just a month ago. He went to that church to give thanks. So he has asked that he is going to be buried there, the first pope to be buried outside of the Vatican City in over a century. So this is a really poignant moment and very topical for him. He was a man of the people. He wanted to live a simple life, and his choices, even in death, are very simple ones. So in the next few days, we know that Pope Francis' body will be brought here to St. Peter's Basilica, where he will lie in state. And he's asked to be in that open wooden coffin where pilgrims will then file past. You can imagine the scenes that will be there. There'll be so many people wanting to capture a glimpse and say goodbye to Pope Francis. There will then be that funeral this weekend before we enter the Conclave, and that is where cardinals from all around the globe will descend here on Rome to be locked away inside the Sistine Chapel, where they will then vote for who will be the next pope. It is a series of votes that could last for days or even weeks, although in the last few years it has only been a day or two. So that is what we can expect in the next few weeks. But for now, this is a moment of grief and still an outpouring of grief and shock, it must be said. I've been speaking to pilgrims here this morning about their reaction to this news.
Believe that the Pope is very good for the whole world, for everybody's faith, I think, not just for myself. And he was like the head of a big family.
Very sad, but really special to be here as well.
Do you feel like you're here for a moment in history?
Yeah, it really feels like that. It's a lot of people here and people are grieving, I think, as well. I think that he was progressive and actually had good views on political issues as well. So yes, and he was also very keen on having discussions on people that didn't have it so well. So that's a good thing.
Well, those are just some of the voices of the pilgrims here at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City in Rome, and you can hear the warm words that they have for Pope Francis, whether they were Catholic or not. And I was also speaking to a seminarian who was talking about who he would like the next pope to be, and I was asking him, would you like it to be a conservative, a traditionalist, or would you prefer it to be more like Pope Francis, who's deemed to be more progressive, more liberal? And he said, I don't like to see those two warring factions. I don't like it to be described like that. The Holy Spirit will decide who will become the next pope. In practical terms, though, it is interesting. About 130 cardinals will be able to vote in the conclave. You can vote when you're under the age of 80, and 110 of them have been selected by Pope Francis. So those numbers alone may suggest that they may think the same way, that they may have a more similar ideology to Pope Francis. But all of that is still to come, of course, in the conclave, which we can expect at the start of May. Let's cross over now to Cameron Walker and get some reaction from the Mother Church in England and Wales. Cameron.
Good morning, Ellie. Well, here in London, the Pope is being remembered as somebody full of compassion, mercy and irresistible hope. His Majesty the King released a statement yesterday saying the Pope profoundly touched the lives of so many. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, echoing that, saying Pope Francis was the Pope for the poor, downtrodden and forgotten. Well, here at Westminster Cathedral, the kind of focal point for Catholics here in England and Wales, held a Requiem Mass last night, and I was inside the cathedral for the start of that service, and it was an incredibly somber mood, as you can probably imagine, but it was very moving and standing room only. It was absolutely packed. Well over 1,000 people were in there paying tribute to Pope Francis, and it was the Archbishop of Westminster who conducted that service, and he spoke of the sadness of loss, but there remains a confidence of faith and hope. Now, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, who is the Archbishop of Westminster, is among those expected to travel to Rome, both for the Pope's funeral, but also for conclave to elect his successor. Now, currently within the United Kingdom and indeed Ireland, there are 5 cardinals, but only 3 are eligible to vote. Cardinal Nichols, Cardinal Timothy Radcliffe and Rome-based Cardinal Arthur Roach, and that is because they are under the age of 80. And I will allow Dougie Beattie, our Northern Ireland reporter, to tell you what that means for Northern Ireland in particular. But turning now to British representation at the funeral, we are expecting members of the royal family, at least one member of the royal family, to travel to Rome for that funeral. Across the Atlantic, President Donald Trump has said that he and his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, are expected to also travel to the funeral to Rome. The Westminster Cathedral here, Westminster Cathedral, will be open until midnight tonight for silence prayer, and another Requiem Mass being held at 5:30 this evening.
Goodness me, and there was his life in pictures. Cameron, Ellie, thank you both very much indeed.
It's interesting thinking of prominent English Catholics or British Catholics. Anne Widdecombe has made a comment in The Express, which is one that I've heard before, and she puts it very, very well. She said this particular Pope changed not a whit of church teaching, but because he always sounded so liberal, people assumed he had. Thus, he pleased everyone, the liberals who thought things had changed and the traditionalists who knew that they hadn't. There you are. Because there are a lot of newspapers saying he was the outsider with a mission to change the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
That's not how I understood him at all. He was just somebody who was very championed the poor and really wanted to be seen to be amongst them, and he had a real charisma. And a way with ordinary people. But I'm not sure he brought about any fundamental changes to the Catholic Church, really, did he?
Well, there were those who say he didn't bring about enough, but who knows? You decide.
Well, that's what will be interesting about where they go next, how they choose the next pope. Yes, what will they go for? Will they go for somebody very different indeed, maybe from another continent even, maybe an African or Asian Pope, as they went for him last time, the first one to come from South America? Or will they go traditional and maybe choose an Italian and just go for a period of absolute, steadfastness and...
Well, they have to arrange that funeral so quickly. I mean, it's such a massive state occasion, and maybe it'll be this weekend.
I wonder.
It's quick. Right, let's, whatever you're doing this weekend, or the few days in between, and let's find out what the weather's going to be like. Good morning, Craig Snell.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions very far north of Scotland where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of the showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we ended the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now a bit of light relief for you, hopefully a profitable light relief. It's our biggest giveaway yet in the Great British Giveaway.
Yes, your chance to win the motorhome.
Oh yeah, the motorhome.
Yeah, £67,000 worth of motorhome, $5,000
That's
in
a
tax-free
lot, isn't
cash.
it?
Well, they are very expensive things.
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy a flat for that, but this is one that you can drive around.
Could you live, if live is the right term or wrong term, I mean, could you survive in a motorhome? You like the bed and the couches and the fridge?
I don't think I could anymore. When I was younger, I would have loved it. Yeah, I would have loved one. Like I say, pack the family in the back and go where. That's the point. You can take your home with you to go wherever you fancy.
You could bring your doggy with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And all the children and everything, but they're all too big now and they wouldn't go near a motorhome. But people are really very, very keen at the moment. Everywhere I go, people mention the motorhome. If you want to win it, here's how.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
One of the things we've been talking about today, school breakfast clubs set to open across 750 primary schools across the country. Good thing, bad thing? What's the point? Is it too overindulgent? Is it doing parents' work for them? Or is it exactly what is needed? So,
yeah, well, you've been letting us know, haven't you? And we're going to bring you the latest from the Vatican, where Ellie is there on the ground for us.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Utterly fascinating. It's a 3D rendering of the wreckage for the first time. It's going to be projected onto a warehouse wall in London. People will be able to see this in its full magnificence for the first time. Tell us how exciting you think this is.
This is amazing footage and amazing pictures. To be able to see that kind of detail underwater of the Titanic, I think is really amazing. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was they said that the punctures were a series of A4 size holes along the side of the hull, not a big long slice, which would have clearly doomed the ship as the iceberg slid down the hull.
And it's fascinating. There is also a video, a recreation. They've analysed, as you said, the damage caused to the hull when the ship famously hit that iceberg. And it now appears, David Market, it was more of a glancing blow. And that is leading the researchers to believe in this fascinating project. If there'd just been a moment of seeing the glacier a bit sooner, then it may have been a glancing blow that would not have taken the Titanic down.
Absolutely. If she had been going just a little bit slower, if they had immediately responded with the rudder in the right direction, and if the ship had been designed with a bigger rudder relative to the size of the ship, any of these little tiny things could have met, instead of a glancing blow, missing it by just 1 meter or so.
And it is incredible because this is part of a documentary. It's called Titanic, The Digital Resurrection. It's going to be broadcast on the National Geographic Channel on Monday.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
it known?
Today, the government will announce its plans to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals awaiting deportation, so we can have a sort of league table of who's the worst from where.
But will we know enough about any of it? Number 10 sources have claimed that the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has ordered an overhaul of the system because apparently the data is of such poor quality.
Well, we're going to here to explain more. Adam Cherry, our reporter on all of this. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, that's right. So it does seem like a bit of a U-turn. Previously, hi guys. It was previously the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper had argued that this data it was too difficult to publish, and the Home Office essentially didn't have the resources to do it. Now it seems under certain under pressure from other parties and indeed from voters, given that immigration is such a salient issue, now they have decided to go for it. But it does, of course, mean that they've got to have the data available to publish it. It needs to be robust enough in order to do this properly. So this will take some time. But you're already seeing the likes of Robert Jenrick celebrate this as a personal victory for him, because he says he has been campaigning for this league table, this data, for a year now. He was the one who first tabled an amendment on this over a year ago. So in terms of the political consequences of this, it will be the Conservatives and Reform who will feel they have pressured the government and the Labour Party into providing this data. But as I say, Number 10 know this is an important issue for voters. It's trying to heed off that threat from of voters who may abandon the party over their position on immigration and their handling of it. So they're now trying to get a grip of it early. But of course, as I say, it's going to be the proof will be in the pudding whether they can make this work and whether the data is sufficient to produce it at scale and in time.
I mean, saying that they're going to release all this information, but it's not very accurate information, is a bit like saying you're going to release the files on the JFK assassination and finding that all the important bits are redacted. Apparently, we're not going to know particularly what crimes these alleged or particular criminals committed, where they came from, what was their legal status when they were here anyway. I mean, were they illegal immigrants or were they legally allowed to be here? And where are they going back to? Apparently, those questions may not be answered at all, and that's what people want to know, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose the government would argue that this is a start, and perhaps as they build the infrastructure around this in order to provide this data sufficiently, they will, in time, be able to fill out those details as well. We just don't know yet. As I say, as you've said as well, it's not necessarily clear whether the infrastructure, the existing infrastructure, is capable of providing even the most basic information. So it will be a huge effort within the Home Office to build this at speed. There may be some internal resistance. I don't know specifically about that, but you can see previously there is precedent of stories within the Home Office of resistance to this sort of thing and resistance to schemes of this kind. So you may face pressure there as well. As I say, time will tell. But the most significant thing politically is this feels like a capitulation, or rather a response to pressure from the right to try and heed off those concerns for voters who may look at the likes of the Conservatives or indeed Reform and say that the Labour Party, the government, isn't acting enough. This is important information to them. Yes, albeit it might not be perfect or totally granular, but the significant thing here is they've chosen to do it in the first place, given they previously said it was too difficult. Yes, time will tell in terms of implementing it, but the political headwinds, I think, are quite clear.
OK, Adam, for the moment, thanks very much, and we look forward to digging into the detail, I guess.
Right now, we're going to dig into the roads. Well, not exactly, but you get the meaning. Here's your travel news.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 eastbound is restricted between Junction 5 and Junction 4A due to a road traffic collision, so use caution if approaching this area. In Stockport, a broken down vehicle on the M60 anti-clockwise exit at Junction 1 has led to one-lane closure. In Leicestershire, the A42 southbound between the M1 and Junction 13 is experiencing delays of 20 minutes due to another broken down vehicle, with one lane closed. The A14 eastbound in Cambridgeshire is dealing with a road traffic collision between junction 21 and junction 24B, closing 2 lanes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Well, still to come. Preparations are underway, of course, now for the Pope's funeral. Ellie is in the Vatican City, where mourners are gathering to pay tribute to the Holy Father. More from Ellie in a few moments.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Well, just to recap that it was 24 hours, less than 24 hours after delivering his Easter blessing, the Vatican then announced the death of Pope Francis.
And we've now been told that he did die peacefully following a stroke and heart failure. Of course, attention in Rome is now turning to his funeral and the future of the papacy. Ellie is there. Ellie, what's going on today and what might be happening in the next few days?
Good morning to you, Eamonn and Anne. And the mood here right now is sombre. We are seeing pilgrims from all around the world, many of them choosing to process down to St. Peter's Basilica here behind me, St. Peter's Square in Rome. Many of them choosing to hold crucifixes, many in song, some saying the rosary, clutching at their rosary beads. We are seeing this outpouring of love for a pope who was called the People's Pope. I've been been speaking to pilgrims from all around the world with their reaction to this news. This is what they told me.
Believe that the Pope is very good for the whole world, for everybody's faith, I think, not just for myself. And he was like the head of a big family.
Very sad, but really special to be here as well.
Do you feel like you're here for a moment in history?
Yeah, it really feels like that. It's a lot of people here and people are grieving, I think, as well. I think that he was progressive and actually had good views on political issues as well. So yes, and he was also very keen on having discussions on people that didn't have it so well. So that's a good thing.
The people wanted to see him, and he wanted to see the people, and he made that wish possible.
I'm very, very saddened. He was a wonderful pope. He was very into the people and helping, the poor, and loved Mother Teresa and everything. So.
Vatican Media English Channel.
Well, there is the Basilica there at St. Peter's in Rome. Ellie is there for us today. And I suppose now the talk is when exactly the funeral will be.
Yes, you're right, Eamonn. Cardinals were meeting here in the Vatican City from 7 o'clock this morning to discuss those funeral arrangements and, most importantly, the date of that funeral, which traditionally would be between 4 and 6 days after the Pope dies. So we are looking at it to be this Friday, Saturday or Sunday. That date yet to be confirmed, but we do have some details on what that funeral will look like. It's thought that Pope Francis was very uncomfortable with the ostentatious displays, the pomp and pageantry of Pope funerals that had gone before him, papal funerals that had gone before him. He wants a much simpler affair. He will not be buried here at the Vatican. Instead, he has chosen to be buried at the Santa Maria Maggiore Church, which was his favourite church here in Rome, which he personally went to pray in before and after every foreign trip that he went on. He will be buried in a very simple wooden casket. Traditionally, popes have been buried in a coffin that has 3 layers of different materials like lead and wood. He doesn't want that, a simple wooden coffin, and it will simply say the inscription Francescus on it. So that is the detail that we know so far. We're expecting the funeral to happen this weekend. He will lay in state for a number of days before that. His body could be moved to St. Peter's Basilica behind me as soon as tomorrow morning. So behind closed doors, those preparations are underway. But here outside the Vatican, you can see the number of people behind me. It is this outpouring of love for the People's Pope.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ellie. Remarkable seeing you there in a beautiful sunny St. Peter's Square with that incredible building behind you. My sister has just got in touch and reminded me that back in the 70s, she went on holiday with my mum and dad and her best friend, and they went round Rome. And she said, we just happened to be there just after the death of John Paul I. It was 1978. And we paraded past his body. It was quite a spectacle.
The theory was he was bumped off. He was assassinated.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that.
Makes a good plot.
Well, it was a very good plot because
he looked like Peter Sellers. So
he didn't last long, did he, at all?
48 days or something.
Yeah, and then he died, and the person who replaced him then took on the name of John Paul II, who turned out to be absolutely the right man in history.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my sister said it was. You're part of history when you're in Rome, when something like this is happening. You don't forget it either. No. Ellie will never forget it.
And Rome is such a beautiful city.
Oh, it
Never
is.
been. I'd
Have
recommend.
you not? Well, 2 of my sons.
I've been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 of my sons who've never been are making plans now.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to know whether you want to be there for this, for the funeral, or for the conclave and hopefully the announcement and the first blessing of the new Pope.
Whenever.
You've got to try and time it, and it's very, very difficult to know how long they're going to take to do any of this process.
Well, we haven't got Rome to offer you, but we have got Liverpool and Newton Ards in Northern Ireland. Let's go to Dougie Beattie and Steve Bennett. First of all, Steve is in Liverpool.
Good morning to you both. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, the mood here in Liverpool, very calm this morning. We've had a few passers-by just share their comments on just how shocked they were that the Pope passed this weekend, having been seen on Easter Sunday blessing the crowds there in St Peter's Square, and here at the Metropolitan Cathedral in Liverpool, which is at the heart of the UK's biggest Catholic community. We're expecting mourners to pass through all day. There's a book of condolence that's been opened here where people can share their thoughts and their memories and their feelings over the sad passing of the Pope. And there's already been a service in here this morning at around 7:45 where mourners were offered to do the same, and they certainly have done that. And we hope to catch up with some locals later to get their thoughts on camera about how they feel about the passing of the Pope. As you said, the People's Pope, a man who put himself closer to the needy, the vulnerable, the homeless, refugees, very much changing the way the Catholic Church was viewed, and certainly is a great miss. So it's been felt here in Liverpool this morning, and certainly will continue to do so throughout the day.
And from Liverpool we go to Newton Arts, just outside Belfast. Dougie, why are you there?
Well, I'm here because this chapel behind us is very historical. It was built for Lord Castlereagh by his sister-in-law, Lady Londonderry, and it was because he was in charge of the forces during the Napoleonic Wars, and of course he freed the Pope from prison and refloated the Vatican Bank because he knew that there had to be a moral compass in Europe after war, and that has continued to this very day. All of us have a moral compass, usually installed in some sort of religious way or another. And this Pope was very important to here in Northern Ireland because he was a Pope that was very humble, and he was a Pope that said, "I am a sinner," which brought him very close to the Calvinist type of worship. And it very much eased things in Northern Ireland because, of course, we had a lot of religious tensions here over the years. And in the last 12 years or so, we have seen much more outreach. He was more of an evangelical Pope. He encouraged the Catholic Church and priests to come into the community and work with each other. In fact, Pope Francis, one of his closest friends, was a man called Luis Piol in Buenos Aires, and he was a Presbyterian evangelist preacher. He died a couple of years ago in the States, but that is where he came from. He came from that Christ could be found inside each man, and no one was perfect. And people in Ireland are pretty much worried that that will now disappear with a different Pope coming along. But he was a Jesuit, and he was from the Southern Hemisphere, and hopefully someone of the same sort of standing will come back in as the leader of the Catholic Church.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed. And with that, we will head to the break. After that, newspapers, Jennifer Powers, Eamonn Bogle with those. And before we get into those newspapers, here is...
It's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Nice.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It was a bit of a mixed picture for many of us over the bank holiday weekend, and there are still some showers around, particularly across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands too, though perhaps some sunnier spells here. But it is looking a little bit drier across parts of Spain and Portugal on Wednesday. Still plenty of showers on offer though for parts of Italy, Greece and Turkey as well. Temperatures for most of us in the high teens or low 20s. The best of the temperatures over the next couple of days, definitely across the Canary Islands, with highs here of 24 or 25 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is a Stingray torpedo in the hangar of HMS Duncan, an air defence destroyer. It's recently returned from operations in the Eastern Mediterranean. But today, on this Royal Navy vessel, it's not about war fighting, but it's about commemoration as we march towards 80 years since VE Day. So HMS Duncan has been hosting a street party on the deck here in Portsmouth. Earlier, we spoke to Commander Dan Lee about why he thought this was such an important occasion for the country.
So VE Day was a culmination of the end of, or the beginning of the end of World War II. It was a time that was a truly national endeavour, whether that be people digging for victory, people in new roles in fields and factories, people supporting at home, children evacuated, and it was such a huge national event. It is something that we should really celebrate, that it was coming to an end. With that, with the number of veterans who are sadly reducing in numbers, today's a real opportunity. We're really happy to have a number of the local school children and Royal Navy cadets here, so we can tell the story of World War II, why it was important, and what we fought for.
And earlier we spoke with Ross Kemp, who's been a key part of promoting the VE Day commemoration, about how the entirety of the United Kingdom should come together on the 5th of May, on that bank holiday weekend, to celebrate our fallen heroes.
It's very easy to forget that the freedoms that we enjoy in this country came at a price. And the veterans that are still alive, they won't be alive, sadly, in 10 years' time. So 80 is a big benchmark. And I think we should let them know that we appreciate the sacrifices that they and their colleagues made for us to enjoy the freedoms that we have.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, we're looking through the newspapers. I'm just plugging myself in because I came unplugged.
Pictures that have been released of Pope Francis in his open casket.
Oh, no.
As the cardinals prepare to get a viewing of his body there. Just getting that there. Jennifer and Eamonn, they have got stories in the papers they want to discuss. And the Telegraph, first of all, Eamonn, police forced to reveal migrant league tables.
Yes, this is about league table about migrants committing crime. Look, our immigration system is broken, our borders are a joke, and the bottom line here is that foreigners are 3.5 times more likely to commit a crime and to be arrested for committing crimes than the domestic population. And it's about time that we have a breakdown so that if we can know the facts, we can know the data, then we can fix the migration system in terms of, well, depending on which nationalities are committing more crime, we should be deporting them more. But this has been a long time coming. Of course, the previous Conservative government tried to do this back in March last year, and it was stalled by the Home Office. And finally, Robert Jenrick, as Shadow Justice Secretary, has managed to get this through with Yvette Cooper. But the devil is in the detail here.
And the detail apparently is inaccurate, or at least untrustworthy.
Well, first of all, we are not even sure what data the Home Office is collecting. Second of all, the Home Office is, well, Yvette Cooper is saying, well, it'll take until the end of the year to start this. Now, Denmark have already done this. The Swiss have done it. The Dutch have done it.
How come records aren't kept?
Well, this is a good point. I mean, this is a victory for Robert Jenrick, who's been campaigning on this. But it's yet another example of something the Conservatives could have done whilst they were in office, and yet failed to do. So I guess better late than never, but you know, I give credit to Yvette Cooper in the Home Office for agreeing to release the data. Let's see how detailed and how accurate it is. But it's absolutely right that we, the public, know who's committing crime.
But it does make you wonder if the Home Office is fit for purpose, because time and again their shortcomings are exposed, and it seems crazy.
So let's break this down. The Home Office is in charge of our our borders, through the border force. They are in charge of immigration and handing out nationality, like
prisons and the police and.
They were, yes. That's now at Ministry. They have the police, although the courts are at Ministry of Justice.
Yeah, Ministry of Justice. But the bottom line is, the Home Office is the great blob. And as President Trump was draining the swamp in DC, I think that's what we need to be done here. But the bottom line here is that there's a great correlation with illegal arrivals and the top 3 nationalities that commit crime as foreigners. So we've had more than 33,000 illegal dinghywalas arrive breaking into Britain across the Channel. And we don't know who they are. We don't know where these people have come from, what their criminal backgrounds are.
And often we don't know where they've gone.
Indeed.
Where they are now.
Indeed, and that's a real concern that people genuinely need more information about so that we can finally fix our broken immigration system.
But is there a conspiracy here that they don't want us to know too much detail because it'll just make us angry?
Well, let's not forget that the great bureaucracy of the Home Office has often stifled free democracy in the UK, as we saw under 14 years of Conservative government. It was an absolute pain to get things done within the Home Office. The bureaucracy is a real block in the road in terms of getting meaningful policy delivered. So I think it needs huge reform, and the best disinfectant is sunlight, and the sunlight of data and facts and figures.
As long as it's not been redacted.
Yeah. OK, Jennifer, let's talk about Generation Z, or Z. They are known as the distracted generation, and they are turning away, or trying to turn away, from their smartphones. Why?
Well, there's this new phrase called to lock in, which means to concentrate on a goal, which sounds very sensible and very responsible of this younger generation, which I suppose my son is just on the cusp of joining. And part of that locking in is putting away or turning off your phone. And I think this is part of a broader trend of society waking up to the negative impacts of smartphones and social media. Survey after survey of 20-somethings and older teens, the vast majority of whom say they wished they'd grown up in a time without access to smartphones and social media because they recognize what a terrible impact it's had on them. And as a consequence of that, we've seen a lot of schools choosing to go smartphone-free or put restrictions in place. And so this is just another aspect of that societal trend, which is saying, look, we've all become too distracted. And there's even research that says if your phone is off, but it's within sight, or it's within, 6 or 10 feet of you, so if it's in your pocket or in your school bag, even if it's off, you lose what's called cognitive attention, and you have cognitive leakage.
You have sort of phone anxiety, don't you?
Part of your brain is still thinking about who's saying what about me and what's happening, and so you're not fully present in the moment. And we probably all suffer from that to some extent.
Doesn't the evidence, where they have trialled this occasionally, show that actually even the youngsters themselves say, wow, life is really different if I have to give up my phone?
It's funny, some of the head teachers I speak to, they're worried about backlash. And I spoke to a head teacher 2 weeks ago, and he said that when he decided to tell his year 7s that he was going to roll forward the ban so that until they were in year 9, there'd be no smartphones. And he was expecting a little bit of a riot, maybe. They burst into applause. Bless them.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm just, as we're talking here, I'm thinking you and I, when we were young reporters, we didn't have phones.
No, you had to find the phone box.
Find a phone box to phone your story back in,
Yeah.
And I actually think now, so we know what it was like not to have a phone, and could we go back to then? Because this now provides facts for me, information for me, contacts.
Yeah, but you don't need it like you think you need.
But are we addicted to it?
I think you are. I don't know about me. I think I am, probably. I just feel a bit anxious if I don't know where it is. Yeah. You get those moments. You get those moments. You think, where's my phone?
Well, there's a phenomenon of 90s nostalgia. People often discuss when did it all start going wrong, and it's roughly around 2003 when 3G smartphones started coming in. But on a personal note, ever since my wife and I, we took away the smartphone from our 14-year-old son, his attention levels, his interests have all been for the better. He now reads The Spectator, talks to me about geopolitics.
Wow! Really?
I put him back on his phone. Thank you very much indeed, Eamonn and Jennifer. Thank you. We're out of time. Thanks for your time and company this morning. Thank you very much.
Time to find out what the weather is doing for us here on planet Earth. Here's Greg Snell.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around, exceptions the very far north of Scotland, where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of these showers could be on the heavy side, but in between we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday, could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we ended the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away, but this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers should anticipate delays on the A720 eastbound between Calder Junction and Baberton Junction due to a broken down vehicle. The A72-4 westbound from Garden City to Deeside is closed for cyclic maintenance, with diversions in effect. On the M62 westbound between Junction 30 and Junction 29 in Leeds, a broken down vehicle is causing disruption. Be mindful of congestion on the A628 westbound between the A6024 and the junction with the A57. In Warwickshire, the M6 southbound between Junction 4 and Junction 3 has a collision, with 3 of 4 lanes shut. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Thanks for your company this morning. A special edition of GB News Breakfast.
Yes, Roman Catholics around the world mourn the death of Pope Francis.
I'm here in Rome, where preparations are already underway for the Pope's funeral. Leaders from around the world pay tribute to the Holy Father, with many describing him as a tireless advocate for peace. Cardinals seal and lock off the Pope's official residence as mourners await the date of his funeral. And now attention turns to the secret process of choosing his successor as the College of Cardinals prepare to gather for the much anticipated Conclave.
And we'll find out reaction all around Britain with our reporters right across the country.
A book of condolence has been opened here at Liverpool's Metropolitan Cathedral in the heart of the UK's biggest Catholic community following the sad passing of Pope Francis.
In other news, the government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals awaiting deportation. They're describing it as a landmark move, but will it tell us very much?
Yes, a landmark move, that data coming by the end of the year on the instruction of the Home Secretary. Previously, Home Office officials said it would be too difficult to publish, so will that data have all the detail it needs?
The Chancellor's heading to Washington. She'll meet with her American counterpart amid hopes of a US trade deal.
And free school breakfast clubs are going to open across 750 primary schools, but there are already fears that there isn't enough government money to pay for it all.
And it's a day of sunshine and April showers for most of us today. Find out all the weather details with me coming up a little later.
Hello there, a very good morning to you, just after 9 o'clock. Thanks for your company. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Anne Diamond.
I'm Ellie Costello, live from Rome, and this is a special edition of GB News Breakfast.
Just want to bring you these pictures that we are receiving of Pope Francis, who's been led out now. His body has been exposed in his casket, an open casket, as the cardinals prepare to file past, go to the conclave to choose his successor after that. So Pope Francis led out in that coffin, and we can't see from these pictures, but the pictures that I have.
But he's broken from tradition,
well.
hadn't he?
Yes.
He'd specified that he just wanted a very simple coffin. Normally, popes are prepared and then laid in a series of 3 coffins, one inside the other, made of different sorts of wood. He's asked for something much more simple. Although that looks like a lovely chapel that he has been laid out in, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, so that was it was all announced just 24 hours after delivering.
So, Ellie, can you tell us more about where he is laid out now and his choices, the fact that he obviously had a say in the way he wanted his funeral to be?
Yes, good morning to the two of you. We have just seen those first images of Pope Francis in that open casket, in that beautiful room in the Santa Marta residence, which is where he had chosen to live. He had rejected those papal palaces for something much simpler, which really was his way. And it's that way, that simple way, that extends beyond his death with his funeral choices that he laid out long before his death. He asked for this open casket, and he has asked that when his body is moved from the Santa Marta residences to St. Peter's Basilica here behind me, that it remains open for pilgrims who are descending here already to file past and say their goodbyes to Pope Francis. He's asked that his coffin be simple, as you say, and traditionally popes would have an almost Russian doll type coffin where there would be several layers made of different materials, different woods and lead as well. Not for Pope Francis. He's asked for a very simple coffin. He's also asked not to be buried in the Vatican. He wants to be buried instead in the Santa Maria Maggiore church, which was his favourite church in Rome, in which he prayed before and after any pilgrimage that he took. So that's very personal to him and very fitting to the man that he was. We are expecting his funeral to take place this weekend. Traditionally, it takes place 4 to 6 days after a pope's death, so that would be Friday, Saturday or Sunday of this week. But before that, of course, his body will be moved here to St. Peter's Basilica to lie in state. So as I was saying, pilgrims here, you can probably see a lot of them here behind me from all over the world, many here for the Easter weekend, many here as well for the Jubilee year for the Catholic Church, but they are now here in this moment of history, the passing of Pope Francis, and this is what a number of those pilgrims told me this morning.
Believe that the Pope is very good for the whole world, for everybody's faith, I think, not just for myself. And he was like the head of a big family.
Very sad, but really special to be here as well.
Do you feel like you're here for a moment in history?
Yeah, it really feels like that. It's a lot of people here and people are grieving, I think, as well. I think that he was progressive and actually had good views on political issues as well. So yes, and he was also very keen on having discussions on people that didn't have it so well. So that's a good thing.
Fascinatingly, Ellie, you said earlier that when you arrived at the airport, there were already huge pictures up of Pope Francis. And I wonder whether there is now a feeling of whether the atmosphere is excited or still mournful, because more and more people are just going to pour into Rome now, aren't they?
The mood here this morning, Anne, is still very sombre, but there's also an air of anticipation for what's going to come in the coming days. This huge funeral that we will expect later on this weekend. Then, of course, we've got the Conclave at the start of May, and that could go on for a number of days. So people will be wanting to come here to Rome. The flight that we were on last night was packed, and the airline that we flew with actually made an announcement saying they were putting on more flights for the number of people that wanted to come to Rome. In fact, our flight was delayed last night because the number of crew and journalists from around the world. I'm in a press pit now, surrounded by crews from all around the globe, and the weight of the luggage was just so heavy, there simply wasn't enough room for everybody's luggage. So that just gives you a sense of the rush of people that are coming to Rome to be a part of history. And even if you're not Catholic, as you mentioned there, Anne, when we landed in the airport last night, there were already screens up with pictures of Pope Francis with the words "Grazie" there in Italian, simply saying thank you. And even if you're not Catholic, and I've spoken to a number of people here this morning who aren't even Catholic, they're just visiting Rome for the week to enjoy the sunshine, and they say this was truly a great man. And I think you can see from the outpouring of love here in St. Peter's Square today, people processing with crucifixes, they're singing, they are praying the rosary with their rosary beads. This is an outpouring of love for the people's Pope. Well, this is the reaction here in Rome. A lot to come in the next few days. Let's go to the Mother Church of the Catholic Church in England and Wales, and Cameron Walker is there for us. Morning, Cameron.
Good morning, Ellie. Well, here in London, the Pope is being remembered as somebody full of compassion, mercy and irresistible hope. The King released a statement yesterday saying Pope Francis profoundly touched the lives of so many. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, saying Pope Francis was the Pope for the poor, downtrodden and forgotten. And last night here at Westminster Cathedral, the focal point really for Catholics here in England and Wales, a Requiem Mass was held at 5:30. Incredibly sombre mood, and also it was standing room only. We reckon around 1,000 people were there, and I was inside the building, and it was incredibly moving service during that, conducted by the Archbishop of Westminster. And he said that he spoke of the sadness of loss. There remains a confidence of faith and hope. Now, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, who is the Archbishop of Westminster, he is among those expected to travel from the UK to Rome for Pope Francis's funeral, but also for the conclave to elect his successor. Now, there are currently 5 cardinals here in the United Kingdom and Ireland, but only 3 are eligible to vote because they are under the age of 80, including the Archbishop of Westminster. I'll allow our Northern Ireland reporter to tell you what that means for Northern Ireland in particular, but we are expected a member of the royal family to attend Pope's funeral. As Ellie was saying, we're expecting around the weekend. US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, they are also expected to attend that funeral in the Vatican itself. As for Westminster Cathedral, this building will remain open until midnight tonight for the next couple of days. It will remain open until midnight for silent prayer, silent reflection, and there will also be a Requiem Mass at around 5:30 p.m. this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for that. Eamonn and I were having a word this morning about whether or not it is Catholic or Roman Catholic. And I was discussing this with one of my sons last night, and the word Catholic is to be all-embracing. It's about an embracement or a gathering together and a hugging together of people. That's the word Catholic. So it is Roman Catholic when you talk about the faith. The specific faith that's based in Rome. Yeah, fascinating that, though. And people just use the word Catholic as a shorthand, I suppose. But Catholic can mean anything, anyone. All-embracing, apparently.
Well, growing up in Northern Ireland, we were always called Roman Catholics. We were often called worse than that.
Yeah. Ian Paisley always used to make a meal of the word Roman
Catholics.
Yeah, didn't he? Yeah, very much so.
11 minutes now past 9 o'clock. Thanks for your company this morning. We'd like to be able to lighten up your day and hopefully bring some good luck your way. And we're doing that with our biggest giveaway to date, and we'll tell you all about that.
Well, it's your chance to win that motorhome that's worth over £67,000 and £5,000 as well in tax-free cash. So you can go wherever you want on holiday because you are behind the wheel. Well, that's if you win it. Here's how to try.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Stay with us. Still to come, the government is set to publish the nationalities of foreign criminals who are awaiting deportation in what they're describing as a landmark move.
And Ellie is in Rome with all of the latest on the Pope's death and what's happening in the build-up to the funeral, which we think may be this weekend.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah,
as I say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
The feeding children at school, this breakfast...
Free breakfast clubs.
It's been rolled out across 750 schools in England. We haven't got a child poverty crisis in this country, says Grumpy. We have had bad parents crisis in this country. That's what we've got. For goodness sake, a bag of porridge is 99p a kilogram. And Pixie says... Parents, potty train your own children. Give them a bowl of cereal or a piece of toast and make them brush their teeth before they go to learn. These breakfast clubs are ridiculous.
Yes, I think that's been the view of a lot of people, that it's really who's paying for them and whether or not having a breakfast club exonerates the parent from parental responsibility. Sir Keir Starmer says the breakfast clubs will provide parents with breathing space, whatever that is. But critics fear that the government funding is going to fall far short of what's needed anyway. We're joined now by former head teacher Chris McGovern. A very good morning to you, Chris. I know that you've actually you've actually organised breakfast clubs yourself in your school. Is that a fact? And well, I imagine they worked well.
It was after I retired as part of a charity I worked for. The charity took over a failing school in a very poor area, deprived area, and the first thing we did was to provide the kids with a uniform and breakfast, because you can't have children starving. However, we paid for that out of our own funds. That was not paid by the taxpayer. And I have to say that I have some concerns about breakfast clubs being funded by the taxpayer and taking away parental responsibility for feeding one's children. This welfare dependence is not a good thing. So look, we cannot have starving children. That's the first priority. We have to feed the children, but parents should really be doing this. It shouldn't have to be the state. And I fear the state's taking over the role of parents, which is, in my view, not a good thing. But look, I'm the sinner myself. I did it myself. So, in the end of the day, you look after children. We put the children first. We had to feed them. But this was a very deprived area. So maybe the allocation of funding for breakfast clubs should be very carefully analysed so that it goes to the children who are really in need.
Through the points, the first thing is to, obviously, you cannot have starving children, as you said. So children need to be fed. I suppose the question is it the school's job to do it? Well, yes, it is. And yes, it is if the parents aren't doing it. And I can't think of another way. If you've got, as you say, if you live in a very deprived area where you recognise the fact that children are going to school hungry, what do you do about it? There's only one way, and that's to feed the children. You can't actually force parents to do their job, can you?
No, it's the Good Samaritan. We're talking about the death of the late Pope, and he was the Good Samaritan in many ways. You have to help people in need, but also we have to look at the causes, and we can deal with the symptoms, but the underlying causes is that there are some feckless parents. I mean, most parents are doing a great job as far as they can, but there are some feckless parents, and they need to be given, guidance or help or support to do their job. Look, the school I took over, there were parents fighting at the school gate. There were parents come to the school gate in their pajamas. They were on drugs, so they were unemployed. They had difficulties. For the children, the one refuge in their life was the school. So, for the right emotions, I guess, we provided those children with meals. But the underlying cause was the style of life those people were living. And that's not very fashionable to say. We've got a welfare state which can sometimes provide too much welfare and not enough independence for people to look after themselves. And that's the underlying cause. So we need to deal with the underlying cause. But of course, an army marches on its stomach, said Napoleon, and children learn when they're fed. So we have to feed the children.
State starts to do the job of parents and does it for everybody. If they roll this out across the country and, hey presto, Britain's kids actually start their school day with a full tummy, which is a good thing, then, I mean, what sort of parents are they going to grow up to be? In other words, we're just becoming so state-dependent that we're not taking personal responsibility for anything.
No, that's the problem, and it's a societal problem. We have problems in our streets, we have problems with addiction to phones and so forth. We need to support parents. I mean, we know one of the issues I go on about it a lot is saying, well, we should ban a different issue, but it's related. We should ban mobile phones. We need to support parents, basically. Parents can't do much unless they get the state supporting them. If their parents are told, you must feed your children, okay, it sends a hard message, but it's an obvious thing. If parents are told, you can't buy your kid a mobile phone until they're 18, that's at least the parents can say to the child, we've got to obey the law. And the parents need to know they need to be providing breakfast for their children. And if the parents can't provide it, then you support the parents. But normally...
OK, Chris, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much.
There are teachers like you, Chris. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll leave it there. Thank you. We're just getting news in that the Pope Francis funeral has been confirmed for Saturday morning. That's 10 a.m. local time, which I believe is 9 o'clock.
Yeah, they're an hour ahead of us.
Time. Yeah. So Pope Francis the funeral will take place.
Shall we just double-check this with Ellie, who has been in Rome for us all morning? Hi there, Ellie.
Yes, morning, Eamonn and Anne. Yes, it's breaking news in the past few moments from the Vatican, who have confirmed that Pope Francis's funeral will be on Saturday. I've been telling you about this meeting of the cardinals at the Vatican this morning. They started gathering at 7 a.m. and the most important note on the agenda was the date of the funeral. That has now been set for Saturday, the 27th of April, this Saturday, 10 a.m. local time, 9 a.m. UK time. And they also express in that statement that this officially begins that 9-day mourning period. So we know that the funeral will take place on Saturday. We also know that it's going to be funded by a private benefactor, not the Vatican. This was organised by Pope Francis himself in the year before he died. So that breaking news in the past few moments, the Vatican has confirmed Pope Francis' funeral will be on Saturday.
Thank you very much indeed, Ellie, and you have yourself a good day. We look forward to seeing and hearing you throughout GB News today, all day.
I know, we've had so many messages saying, she only just got married a few days ago and suddenly you've shipped her out to Rome. Well, that's her job and she's very proud to do it as well, and does it so beautifely too.
Doing the job after us, Miriam and Andrew.
Exactly.
Morning.
What on earth are you going to talk about today?
Quite a lot, I think. The Pope will be a big part.
Yes,
We're
definitely.
delighted as well. We've got Brendan Walsh, who's the editor of The Tablet, which is a newspaper I actually read, being a church-going Roman Catholic boy. He's coming to talk about how significant this Pope has been in the pantheon of popes. What was he, the 266th Pope? And second oldest.
Second eldest, wow.
To die at 88. There was one other who was in his 90s. So I think he's a hugely significant Pope in lots of ways, and what a way to go.
Yeah,
Easter.
amazing. Yeah. So lots more on that. Also, what's next on the trans debate?
Yes.
Will Keir Starmer comment on the Supreme Court ruling?
Kept his mouth very shut.
He has. Will his Labour activists be kept happy? We'll see. But yes, lots to come.
Yeah, and Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, she's Catholic actually, she has backed the Supreme Court line, which is not what she was saying 2 weeks ago.
No, but nevertheless helpful. Anyway, that's all to come from us in a few minutes.
Yeah, just there for us to say goodbye. And thanks very much for being with us. Yes, indeed, here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Well, today really is going to be a day of sunshine and April showers, although a organised band of rain will reach western areas later on in the day. So we start the day with plenty of sunshine around. Exceptions are very far north of Scotland, where we'll continue to see some cloud and rain. As the day goes on, we'll see the cloud bubble up and some showers develop, and some of these showers could be on the heavy side. But in between, we'll still continue to see some sunshine. Later on, increasing winds will start to arrive into Northern Ireland with some rain here too. But in the sunshine, feeling better than it was on a Monday. Could see highs easily reaching 17 or 18 degrees in a few spots. So as we end at the afternoon, we still have that cloud and rain for parts of Shetland, but for a lot of Scotland, it is just really a mix of sunshine and showers as we end the workday. A very different story for the evening rush hour for Northern Ireland, though. Very wet here with some strong winds too, so quite a miserable end to the day here. The rain also knocking on the doorsteps of parts of Wales and southwest England, but for the rest of England, it's just a mix of sunshine and showers. But the showers will quickly fade away. But this band of rain will sweep its way across many parts of England and Wales as the night goes on. Not too much rain for the main bulk of Scotland, although that rain will just continue for Shetland right throughout to the night. So under the clear skies across Scotland, turning chilly here, but under the rain further south, we probably not seeing lows much lower than around 9 or 10 degrees. So we start off the day quite damp across parts of England and Wales, but that rain will gradually sink its way southwards during the course of the day. It does leave behind quite a bit of cloud and still some patchy rain around for England and Wales. Much better day for Northern Ireland, however, and also Scotland seeing some sunshine, but a mix of showers here too. But in the brighter spells, temperatures reaching the mid-teens, so not too bad if you do see the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Warwickshire, the M42 southbound is experiencing significant congestion, with delays of around 40 minutes expected to resolve by 9:45 this morning. The A494 eastbound between Garden City and Deeside Industrial Park remains closed due to maintenance, with diversions in place. Meanwhile, the M8 westbound is restricted between Junction 2 and Junction 3 because of a cyclist on the hard shoulder, so please approach with caution. Lastly, expect congestion on the M1 southbound in Wakefield between Junction 41 and Junction 39, with 20-minute delays anticipated to clear soon. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Gynecological health, women's health as a whole, is one of the biggest societal challenges that we face currently.
What would you say, Josephine?
I've been massively failed over the 12 years that I've been dealing with endometriosis in many, many different ways. I wasn't believed to begin with. I was passed from pillar to post. There was a time where after an endometriosis surgery, I got sepsis. I wasn't believed and I was sent away from the hospital and the next day was taken back in quite a serious state. I think because I was young, but also because endometriosis just isn't taken seriously at all.
Is it because women go to the doctor and they say, I'm having really bad pains, and then what does the doctor say sometimes? Do they say, oh, well, everyone gets bad period pains, just have a bit of Nurofen? Is that what sometimes happens, Valentina?
Period and pelvic pain is a silent public health pandemic. It affects 9 out of 10 women. And research from the British Medical Journal tells us that we lose 9 to 12 productive days each year to period pain. But we can't really blame medical professionals, we can't blame GPs, we can't blame the NHS, because there isn't research that they can rely on. We have massively underfunded gynecological health as a whole. Currently, we spend only about 2.4% of our entire public health budget for the entirety